I rank where the view is nothing less than phenomenal for how I express and project from my abdominal. The only view better, both my daddy and my mama know. No living parents, my sons give me balance. My wife is my serenity, this mic is my identity. The world is foul enough, that's why I write without obscenities. Provoking danger with broken language and spoken anguish. Begging to get hurt, why would you ask to go through changes? Yes, Lord, life's a chessboard, master the angles. Control the tempo, be the one who holds the info. Acknowledge is just as deadly as machete swings. When spoken, the truth is as potent as that Medellin. While others swear the style is free, I just let it ring. Our time is undervalued, soldiers make us better kings. My fans on my shoulder, reaching after better things. Today I take the shot, for them I'd rather set the screen.
My mama told me follow my dreams. My daddy told me get it by any means. Stand tall, make him bow to a king. But I've evolved, you can see the result. Look in my eyes when you speaking to God.
Life and for those who be caught up in using what I was taught with the muse. I guess they call it proving I'm more than an artist. Penciling out my darkest while stenciling out a harvest. And storing what gets me from A to B, just like garages. Instrumental with collages. Envision what I've been drawing. Broadway to give you rhythm like the great Lena Horne. So bent on, found comfort in the storm. Find peace and on when you see them others perform. Organized chaos, outcast it like hey ya.
Yo, party people in place to be. What's good? It's your man, Uncle Freezie. Welcome to the Knicks Morning Drive. What's good? Blue tears, orange tears, Blorange tears. Let's go. Let's go. It's good to see y'all, man. How about we throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care? And if you got some loot and a stick of juicy fruit, somebody say, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Scream. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get it. Yo, let me say this thing just real quick. Coming off of Vibes and Stuff Live in the morning, weekday mornings, 8 a.m. to 9-ish. Subscribe to that channel, man. Press the like button. Help us grow the channel, man. Make some topic suggestions, man. Make some topic suggestions, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to be there grinding away, chopping it up anyway. You know what I'm saying? Y'all want to talk about something? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Let's do that. Let's talk about it. Right? So let me say this thing real quick. Let me quote the great American poet, Grand Poobah, when he says, and the reason why I mentioned vibes and stuff, and the reason why I'm saying this because, people think it's easy just, jumping on doing like a podcast and all this stuff. But Grand Poobah said, now a lot of people think this is easy as it looks. Books and books of rhyme concepts and hooks. Stressing and stressing to hit the world with a blessing. Session to get thoughts manifested, stressing and stressing to hit the world with a blessing. That's how it goes. Something like that. Thomas Shepard, salute Jersey City. Bim. Jersey City up on the hill, Van Nostrand Ave, PS15, Dickinson High. What's good? What's good? PS15, Whitney M. Young Junior School, Dickinson High School. What's good? What's good? So here's my thing. Right? Oh, Detroit, we own y'all. Detroit, Rock City. I'm changing y'all name to Detroit, Knicks City. Detroit, Knicks City. We own Detroit. We beat Detroit 8 times in a row. What? We own an NBA team. What in the name of Sam and Dave is going on out in this NBA basketball streets where another franchise, no matter how hard they try, can't beat the Knicks? What? What? An NBA franchise, no matter how hard they try, can't beat the Knicks. Okay. What I don't know. I don't know how to. There's no rhyme or reason. The NBA is kind of weird in that way, where a NBA team can't beat the Knicks. What's going on? Now, listen. I expected it to be like the Miami Heat thing. You remember the Miami Heat thing? Oh, the Knicks hadn't beat the Miami Heat since November such and such of 2000 such and such, and then we beat the Heat, right? So I thought it was like one of those turnabouts is fair play, right? One of those turnabouts is fair play thing. Like, yo, the L is coming. You can only beat a team so many times in a row. I mean, it's just what it is. But anyway, to the Detroit Pistons, I'm going to quote the great American poet Prodigy. Detroit. And listen, I say this because I get DM'd a lot by Detroit Pistons fans, and a lot of my family is there. They like, yo, you know, we got y'all next week. Y'all know that Randall boy might not play. Hey, man. Hey, whether he play or not, we still gonna beat y'all. Hey, yeah, y'all ain't gonna beat us, man. You know, blah, 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 blah. You know, Detroit Pistons fans talking that noise. No, they tanking. They know they tanking, right? But they circle us. They circle the Knicks on the calendar because despite tanking, they still want to beat the Knicks. Thank you. What is this she gave me? Let me see. All right. Medicines. She gave me some medicine so I can live to be 150 years old. And hopefully, the Knicks will have won a championship by then. So hopefully the Knicks will have won a championship in about 100 or 90 something years. Right? What's good, everybody? How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling out there, man? How y'all feeling? Out there? Y'all feeling good? Let me do my tip off. Let me tip this thing off, okay? Let me tip this thing off, y'all. Be patient. Oh, I didn't even finish. Detroit Pistons. The Prodigy quote. Detroit Pistons. There's a war going on outside no man is safe from. You can run, but you can't hide forever from these streets that we done took. You walk around with your head down, scared to look. You shook, because ain't no such things as halfway crooks. And even though y'all tried to steal that beat in one of them whack Detroit rap movies, what was that whack Detroit rap movie? Anybody remember? Remember the rap movie about the with B Rabbit and somebody else? Is like a rap movie set in Detroit, and they use these New York beats to freestyle on. Anybody remember that movie? Gonna try to take Survival of the Fittest and then talk about everybody in the 818 or whatever Detroit is. What's y'all? You notice I'm talking cash trash to Detroit Pistons fans, right? Because Pistons fans DM me a lot. My cousins and them from Detroit, Jason, all y'all, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Detroit, Rock City. Y'all talk y'all trash. But Randall saved the day. Randall and Alec Burks was good. Remember them names when we trade them to y'all for Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart. Yeah, man. All right, so let me get to tip off. So tip off starts with a T. Tip off starts with a T. Is it capitalized? Where is tip off? Yo, so the Knicks are flawed. This is my tip-off. So the Knicks are flawed. And wait a minute. Before you assume that this is hate fest, it's not. Before you assume that this is hate fest, this is not hate fest. Right? This is not hate fest. Right? The Knicks are flawed. The Knicks are flawed, right? Yesterday, our biggest flaw played itself out. Or our biggest flaws played themselves out in Detroit, Michigan on a Sunday afternoon. Our best players, R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle, are not efficient scorers yet. The one ray of sunshine that we think is almost possibly ready, Emmanuel Quickly, he can be inefficient as well. Right? We are flawed. And no matter how much hope and faith we put into Grimes, and I know he didn't play yesterday, Grimes, McBride, Quickly, Cam, RJ, Mitch, Jericho, Obi, we don't have on our roster the one thing that's needed to fix two of the three major flaws. For one, we need a point guard, playmaker, / floor general, / save, / superstar, / right? Second most important thing is we don't have an offensive center. And excuse me, you could see us yesterday. That kind of hurts us because the floor spacing is weird. Because horizontally, the floor gets spaced side to side, but at the rim, it tends to get packed. So it's spaced out 2 to 3 and past it. So we're spaced out to about 25 feet away from the rim. And horizontally, we do a good job spacing the floor that way, right? Right. My only deal is our bigs are not efficient jump shooters / ball handlers. And so it puts us in a weird spot. And so I have an answer. I have a solution. Because you know how it go. You know how it is. It's no fun. It's no fun pointing out. It's no fun pointing out problems without at least offering up a solution. Right? So here's my solution to the problem. Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard needs a playoff type ready team to go to. And we need a Damian Lillard. Right? Damian Lillard doesn't play a conflicted spot. Like the position that Damian Lillard plays is not going to compromise the growth of any kids. Because Quickly is a backup combo guard that wants to be a point guard. And, maybe one day he will be. Right? Miles McBride is about 2 years away. But his impact, oh my God, man. Yo, listen, man, I love some Miles McBride, man. I love some Miles McBride, man. Look, I know what y'all gonna say. Y'all gonna be like, but you say Splinters in your behind, that's their theme song for the year. Yeah, I know. I love some Miles McBride, though, man. I do. I love some Miles McBride. Listen. I would be hurt if he had to go in the Dame Lillard trade. But yesterday, listen, man. Your two best players can't keep shooting at 40%. Your two best players, at least one of them has to be at close to 50%, man. Somebody has to. ESPN playing in my ear. Thank you, ESPN, for your automatic video player just coming in from out of nowhere. I appreciate you, ESPN. We have to make a move. We have to, man. We have to make a move for two reasons. For one, yesterday I watched the most boring game I think I've seen all season. No lie to you. No lie. When I saw RJ Barrett miss a three, us get the rebound, kick it to RJ, he missed a three, us get the rebound, kick it to Julius Randle, he missed a three. I was like, yeah. This is no bueno. It's no bueno. It's you can't have your best two players not be efficient scorers. Now, here's the thing. How did we beat Detroit? Detroit, man. Detroit ain't ready, man. Detroit, they missed a lot of shots. I think they shot like 40% or below. It seemed that way. It seemed like they shot 40% or below. I mean, I can check to see. Let me check to. But Detroit is clearly not, you know. So Detroit didn't shoot less than. So Detroit shot 45.9%. It seemed like they shot less than 40%. The Knicks shot 40% yesterday and still won the game. Yeah. So I was wrong on that. So pardon that error, mistake, whatever. It seemed like they did, though. And oh God, ESPN playing in my ear. So I have this thing. I'm trying to figure it out. Because if the Knicks don't trade, and this is still the tip off, by the way, if the Knicks don't trade for Damian Lillard, what do we do? There are no alternatives. Because you cannot, if you are Leon Rose, pin the future of your franchise on a guy that you don't know if he can do it on the big stage. You can't go get a Colin Sexton. You don't know how that's going to work. You don't know how that's going to work. You can't go get a Jalen Brunson and think he's the point guard of the future. You can't. You just can't do that. If you want to take advantage of these kids' window, have them growing and developing in high leverage games, I mean, if you want them to develop, you have to have them in high leverage games. And by bringing in a career mediocre guy that happened to have his best season in his walk year, you are rolling the dice. You are rolling the dice. And I know this is a pretty long tip-off segment, but if you're the Knicks, do you want to roll the dice on a guy so one guy plays next to a dynamic point guard on an up-and-coming team with a bunch of talent. Which guy is that? Somebody take a guess. So one guy is a smallish guard playing off the ball next to a all-star point guard on an up-and-coming team with young talent. Guess which guy that is? Guess. Take a guess. If you guess Jalen Brunson, I was going to say I was talking about Colin Sexton. But the argument can be made for either. The argument, I know Dallas has more vets. Dallas always have vets, man. Dallas always has vets, right? But if you take the chance, if you say, for instance, the scenario you heard over the weekend is, do Mitchell Robinson in a sign and trade to the Dallas Mavericks for Jalen Brunson? Oh, that's for me. Thank you, babes. Yummy. Plant-based food, guys. Plant-based food. It's like Anytazers and some other plant. So I was brought something called fish. Fish is F comma SH. Fish? I don't know. But it's definitely not out of being vegan is crazy. Anyway. If you're the Knicks, you cannot gamble your future on a guy that you don't know if he could be the man or not. Why would I sign a guy to $20 million a year? Brunson. Sign him to $20 million a year, and then he has to compete with Emmanuel Quickly for the job. If I'm spending $20 million, he better be way better than Quickly. I don't want this scenario of go get a guy and then he's marginally better than a guy that we already have, and all we had to do was give the guy that we already have more minutes. We don't want to do, as a Knicks fan, we can't continue to stand. Well, I guess as Knicks fans, we don't have any other choice. But what I would say is as Knicks fans or as an organization, we can't just go out and get a guy that's going to be a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10, and we have two guys that are 6.5. But we paid the 7 $20 million a year. What sense does that make? Just go in with the McBride Quickly combo next year. Spend that money on Mitch. Bring Mitch back. What? And we also have to consider the Jericho Sims scenario. The dude is on a 2-way contract. I think it's, what is it, like 2 years, 2-year 2-way or something? We have to consider what we do with him. Randall taught me was good. So we have these major decisions to make, right? We have these major decisions to make, but we need to make decisions based on where we are right now and where we want to go in the short term. The long term, listen, we'll worry about the long term during like once we get guys. In the short term, what we need to figure out is does Miles McBride deserve more minutes? In my opinion, yes. In my opinion, Miles McBride should be playing the minutes that Alec Burks is playing at point, or some kind of mix. Quickly and McBride should be playing the point guard minutes for the rest of the season, in my opinion. And I know it'll sound like, yo, Uncle Freezie lost it. He's trolling us. Why is he talking about Miles McBride and Quickly? Why is he talking about young guys playing for the rest of the season and all kind of stuff? I get it. I get it. I get it. I get where people come from. You know what I'm saying? When it because the thing is, I know you have to have a balance of vets and young guys in order to ensure that the young guys learn the valuable lessons that they need to learn in terms of long-term and short-term development and blah, blah, blah. I get it. I get that. But I don't care about that. What I care about is 2022, 2023, 2024. I don't care about the 2021, 2022 season because it is over. It is. It is. It is. It's over. It's over. It started out shaky and ended bad. Right now, if I could do my impersonation of one of my favorite hosts on Blorange Tears, if I can do without my impersonation of Cully, the R&B sensation, if I could whip out my impression of Cully, check out Cully Lemon Pepper Freestyle. Yo, Uncle Freezie, man. Tibbs just won't play the kids, man. He just bruh. Hey, Tibbs, listen, man. Y'all can't sell me on that Tibbs don't want to play the kids thing, man. Tibbs, come on, man. You think Evan Fournier is a Tibbs player? You think Kemba Walker is a Tibbs player? Come on. The national media is telling me this one thing. You know what I'm saying? But here the chat, we think differently. Like we legit have. So okay. So I'm in love with the chat, right? So here's my thing. Here's my guilty pleasure. Throw out a topic that I know y'all are passionate about, and then watch y'all go at it. That's my guilty pleasure, right? My guilty pleasure is watching all whatever, however number, how many people or whatever. My thing is throw out a topic that I'm interested in, right? Throw it out there for y'all, and then let y'all chop it up. Like, yo, we need a point guard of the future. And then the chat just go crazy talking about all the point guard scenarios, man. I love it, man. I love it. See, because I think a lot of times people think that I come here so that I can see how many people or whatever. I don't get into that. That ain't my thing. That's not why I do this. And that's not why this is one of the dopest joints on YouTube, right? the reason why this is one of the dopest joints on YouTube is because we enjoy each other, right? So we enjoy each other. Like y'all might enjoy like the banter back and forth, like me and CWC or something. CWC say something like, "Uncle Freezie, you crazy," and I'll be like, "Shit, I know myself better than everybody else. I know who I am." You know what I'm saying? And then, but what I really get is the chat when I say, "Hey, we need a point guard," and y'all go bananas. I love y'all for that, man. I love y'all for that. I love y'all for that. You know what I'm saying? And listen, y'all might not get it. Y'all might not get what I'm saying, but listen to me. I love y'all because the chat listen, man, about 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning, when I be thinking about what I'm gonna say on here, it'd be a drag, bro. I'll be looking at the sun, don't hardly be up. I'll be like, man, Cam, the Knicks played the Pistons last night. Some dude, Marvin, a lottery bus, man, went to town on us. What's new? What's new? I could get on here and be like, yo, a lottery bus took us to town. Really? A unnamed, a nobody got off against the Knicks. Whoop-de-doo. Is that what y'all want to talk about? A random nobody killed the Knicks. Is that what we're going to talk about? No, ain't what we're going to talk about. We talk about that all the time. All of that, dude, we get too much of that. A random got off against the Knicks. So what? What else is new? A random person on some obscure team got off against the Knicks. So what? What else is new? Right? But this chat that I love, and I think y'all love me back. I feel it. I think y'all love me back. I can mention something that we passionate about, like point guard. And we just erupt. Yeah. So the Damian Lillard thing makes sense in my mind because I believe if you keep the young core that you have intact, right? So I have breaking news. I think Quentin Grimes is a player. Listen, and I know a lot of y'all dropped y'all drinks. I know y'all dropped y'all Pepsi Colas and y'all coffees and all that stuff all over the floor like, Uncle Freezie just said he thinks Quentin Grimes is a player. Yeah, I know. I said Quentin Grimes is going to be Damian Dotson 2.0. I know. I know. I can see y'all faces. I can imagine y'all faces. Y'all are like, oh. Yeah, I know. So let me allow me to backtrack. I'm not going to say reassess, right? Because reassess means I gave Quentin Grimes the benefit of the doubt. And I didn't, right? I didn't give this dude the benefit of the doubt. I just thought he was a ham sandwich. Is that what I called him? Did I call him a ham? What ordinary thing did I call Quentin Grimes? Did I call Quentin Grimes a pair of forces? Who did I call a pair of forces? Who did I call a pair of forces? Did I call Jericho Sims a pair of forces? We can get a Jericho Sims from anywhere. Is that what I said? You can get a 6'9". You can get a 6'9" center from anywhere. Is that what I call it? I don't think that's my narrative for him. But for Quentin Grimes, excuse me, I know for sure I called him something ordinary. Did I call Quentin Grimes a sheet of paper? Anyway, I'm gonna backtrack off what I said. I'm gonna eat my words. Right. So I'm gonna eat my words about Quentin Grimes. And yes, I know the trolls soon come. I know trolls soon come. I know trolls soon come. I know this. But Uncle Freezie, you said Quentin Grimes. We can't trust nothing you say now. I'm just wrong about this guy. I thought this guy was a ham sandwich. And he's turning out to be more than that. He's turning out to be more than that. Right. And it's not based off of, and ironically, it's what I saw in the Miami game that kind of flipped the page for me. Right? It's what the Miami game when the dude was clearly not 100% and he was still smothering people. Quentin Grimes was clearly not 100%. Probably shouldn't even played, but he did play. He did contribute. He looked to be about, what did he look like to y'all? About 80, 85%, 80, 85%? Because what happened was Grimes, McBride, and Quickly and RJ smothered Miami's backcourt. Now, would we have won that game if Tyler Hero was there? Maybe not. But now at least we can ask that question, because in years past, that would never have even been a question. Teams could sit out guys against us and they would still beat us. Now teams are trying to sit out guys against us and losing and having bitter beer face. Y'all remember that commercial, bitter beer face, where the dude was like, yeah. And the thing is, the other night, Tibbs, and I know y'all don't want to give him credit, but Tibbs out-coached Spoelstra. Now, I know what it is. I hate you for Tibbs. People are like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Because we hate Tibbs so much. But look, at about 3 minutes left in the game, Miami didn't have any more answers. They tried everything. They tried everything. They went deep into their back. They tried everything up under the sun to try to win that game against the Knicks, and they didn't have answers. Right? They didn't have answers for the high pressure in the backcourt that we was putting on them with Grimes, Quickly, and McBride. They just didn't. Some dude named Struce, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It was like trying to answer for them, and he couldn't. Struce, whatever his name is. So, yes, Tibbs, in my opinion, outcoached Spoelstra, but let's not jump out the window, because Tibbs has gotten outcoached a lot this season, a lot, in like 70 games or so. I would say at least 50 of those games, Tibbs is overmatched, and that's a lot. I know this is a long tip off, man, but I had to mention to y'all, Damian Lillard is the answer. Damian Lillard is the answer. And I know y'all are going to ask, what do we give up to get Damian Lillard? Right. So if you get Damian Lillard, Uncle Freezie, and this, I'm about to throw a link in the chat. Just bear with me. Just let me get this off real quick. Right. What do we give up to get Damian Lillard? I would like, and just bear with me, just hear me out on this before y'all jump out the window. I would like to keep RJ, Julius, Quickly, McBride, Grimes, Sims, Mitch. Everybody else can go. Everybody else can go. Notice I put Cam Reddish in that could go group. I love Cam Reddish. But if I have to sacrifice a Cam Reddish and a Obi Toppin to get a Dame Lillard, man, listen. You just got to do it. You just got to do it. You just got to do it. And I'm giving them every first round pick that I could possibly give. I ain't doing no pick swaps. I ain't doing none of that. I'm giving them this year's pick, which listen, I really love this kid, Ben Mathurin. I really love this kid, Ben Mathurin. I honestly put Ben Mathurin in my personal, this is me, not talking for the whole Knicks universe, but I personally put Ben Mathurin in my RJ Barrett category. What? Yes, that's how much I love Ben Mathurin. If the Knicks get Ben Mathurin, I would love Ben Mathurin and RJ Barrett equally. Right? So I've done enough talking, man. I just wanted to get all this stuff off my chest first before the conversation started going in 1,000 different directions. Right? So I'm going to throw this link in the chat. All right. And no, I didn't like the way Ben Mathurin ended his season. I did not. But what can you do? And so the thing with a Lillard trade is this. It solves your point guard issue right away. It solves your playmaking issue right away. Right? You keep Tibbs. Say if you keep Tibbs, right? I think a balance of Tibbs and Lillard can work if Tom Thibodeau doesn't tib it up. If you don't tib it up. And the bad part about that is Tibbs can and will tip it up. Hold on. Let me do this.
You, what's going on, yo?
Good morning, y'all.
All right. How was y'all weekends?
And my weekend was good. Chilling.
On the road.
Okay.
Hey, Freezie, I wasn't too far from you, but I was at the same time. I was in Charlotte, and then I was in Asheville, but we was busy both days, so I couldn't really hook up with you doing man.
Man, you were in Charlotte?
Yeah, we was in Charlotte for 2 days, and then we was in Asheville Sunday, and then we came back.
Okay. Did y'all win?
Yeah, we went 1-for-1. We split, so I'm satisfied with that.
Okay. Okay, well, good. How do you like the Damian Lillard point?
You already know my reason. You already know I'm gonna go ahead and shut that down. I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down only because I just don't. I haven't been a fan of the Dame thing. Not because I don't like Dame. I like him as a player. I just don't like. I don't think that Portland is going to do for anything less than RJ Barrett. That's my only worry about that.
Anything less than a what?
Jay Barrett. Just to get the conversation going.
Some feedback.
Is it me?
I don't know who it is. Yeah, it might have been. Okay. Freezie, I didn't get to hear your proposal. I'm sorry, I was juggling some things. I didn't get to hear your proposal for Dame.
Hold on for a second. Just hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Morning, everybody.
Hey, what's up, boss?
What's up, bro?
Hey, Marv, what's good, man?
Morning, distinguished gentlemen, world star panel,
World class chat. Happy Monday.
What's up? Hey, what's up, Chuck? Chuck busy doing this thing.
I think he's trying to get it set up right.
Yeah, he's trying to get it set up.
Man.
Nah, I switched mics. It was my mic that was feedback.
Okay. D'Angelo, what's good, man? How you doing?
Same old. Going on.
Yeah.
It's always something with me, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, for one, I'm gonna hold you to this thing about the Italian restaurant.
You're damn right you will.
Yeah, man.
There's some good places. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
Branch burgers there.
All right. So just to address what Dean Ballin asked, right?
Cool.
I am not sure, on what Portland will take, right? Because rebuilding teams always try to have a blank canvas, so to speak. Okay. Rebuilding teams generally like a few things: draft picks, young players, expiring contracts, or a contribute. If they get a veteran, he's got to be a solid contributor in a role, right? So,
well, try to say it like this, right? Like, what did Portland receive for CJ McCollum? Now we know that Lillard's at a different tier,
right.
But you could kind of get an idea of the framework of what that trade would look like through the CJ McCollum trade. So, do you remember how that trade went down and who players were involved and what they took back?
I remember Josh Hart.
Okay,
that's it. I don't remember any other specific player.
I think it was Niliki Alexander guy, but then he went to Utah. They traded him right away, and I think they received a couple of draft picks, if I'm not mistaken. So if that's the template of CJ McCollum, you might have to time to that for Damian.
Yeah.
Especially because of his contract, and especially because of his stardom.
They're probably going to take 2 first-round picks and a couple young guys. Might be the Dallas. We still got Dallas 23 pick, right?
Right.
So we could give up that. It might, if we're going to do it this season, probably going to have to give up this first-round pick. That 23 Dallas first-round pick, probably an Obi. We could see Cam and see what Cam, if he want to sign back later on, see how that goes. If not, then you probably throw Cam in there. It's going to probably take a lot of pieces.
Would you be willing to part with that?
If you winning, if it's a chance to win now, if Randall could buy in, then yeah. If not, then Randall, I'll keep Obi and throw Randall in there.
See, but the whole thing is that they're trying to rebuild, and they're trying to rebuild and be good very soon.
Right.
And you could tell that because you could tell by their first 2-round picks with Hart, with Simons and stuff, they're really trying to build something there. So if you do want Lillard, you probably would have to part with RJ before Randall.
Yep.
Because it explains to their youth movement of what they want to do, and they're going to take your pick this year, no matter what the hell it is, because they might use it to move up.
In my opinion, RJ, the Lillard for me is a no, because in my opinion, RJ is the only untouchable player on this team as far as the future. That should be the only untouchable player.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think
That's interesting.
So you got to think about those things.
Yeah, I don't know about Lillard.
Yeah,
so
I think I'm good on like Parrish Duggar just said, I'm good on giving up these young guys. And I'm not gonna go word for word for what he said, but I'm not gonna give up my young guys for a guy who just came off surgery, is very pricey, and the price to get him in itself is already very expensive. So like
how old is Lillard?
He'll be 34 next year. Probably be 34 next year.
No, he's not
No,
that
he's not that old.
Nah, I think I just turned 32 on the first,
literally,
and
he's
I can
31.
do the
He
cartwheel.
turns 32 in July.
See,
Yeah, so you're gonna
I
be
did a
30.
cartwheel yesterday, and I felt it. So I imagine the miles on his body
Yeah, see,
compared to mine.
that's the thing, Kendall. He's over 30, and like we all know, the Knicks are not one move away. So I don't understand why we would make that trade.
Yeah,
If I may, guys, good morning. First of all, good morning to the family, man. I really missed you guys last week. So y'all know me. Once we start a new approach, I say, okay, how do I get involved in this conversation, GI? So for me, I go from a business standpoint. It just keeps me safe. It's where my experience lies. And so in order to get your, I'm going to use it's a little harsh example, but I'm going to use this as an example. There was companies that were making masks before COVID. And their target market was the medical field. There was some few other people who had some ailments that they couldn't go outside without a mask. The next day, COVID hits, and then their target market is the entire world, every individual person. You can't sit in the boardroom and say, tomorrow there's going to be a pandemic. Our business is going to change dramatically. And you guys, and everybody's like, but we can't see that. It would be irresponsible for the Knicks to sit in the boardroom talking about how they would improve their team, thinking about all these players that so much would have to fall in place. I just can't think that the Knicks are having this conversation. So here's what I feel is safe for the Knicks. Who is our future? And somebody hit on it this morning. You know, I was listening to other analysts talk about RJ. And they said, would you give RJ a max tomorrow? And the guy was like, man, you don't understand. And this guy has been in the room before. And this guy's, man, you don't understand. This is the biggest enigma I've ever had to deal with. The Knicks aside, their dysfunction aside, this guy keeps getting better. This guy keeps making stupid mistakes as he gets better. But one thing that makes him special in New York that you will have a hard time naming, he just deals with it. You don't, no matter what comes at him with the media, whether he don't get up, he don't get down, he has the pedigree for New York. And that's when I said, you know what? Nothing's more important than not only your skill set than having the pedigree. I'm thinking RJ Barrett is going to earn himself a max contract, but I gotta use next year to prove it. Nothing else matters. I've already paid Jules. Rose is on the team. My young guys are still under control. You know, the only wild card for us is Obi. To me, is Obi Toppin, and I'm willing to spend that another year to see what's going on. So here's what I'm saying, guys. I'm saying next year we got to run it back. And the only money we should be spending this offseason is if you're going to believe in RJ, then you got to keep him with Mitch for the long term. He's learned how to play with Mitch. Mitch helps him. So unfortunately, to keep RJ, you may have to overpay for Mitch. Let me shut up because I'm getting long-winded.
You know, GI looks like a 60-minute confidential informant.
To the last distinguished gentleman, first of all, good morning, worldwide panel.
What up?
I just wanted to say, are you ready to run it back with the same coach? Do you think there will be a big difference in progress?
I don't think we have a choice.
Well, yeah, you have a choice. You don't have to have the same team. You don't have to run it back.
No,
you
the coach.
Yeah, you're going to have the same coach, but you can change everything by shaking up the roster. Now, I'm not knocking the fact that he feels that it's okay to keep them all, but the eye candy from this year and last year, was it sweet? Was it bitter? Was it good enough? Just a question. I mean, are you ready to stand pat and stand the same? When you speak of excuse me, one more thing. When you speak of Dame, I think we all can see a change. Now I don't know if that's for the good or the bad, but it is a change. I just want to throw that out, and I'm not knocking the point that he made, I'm just saying,
And
are we ready for a
no,
change or
I
same
wouldn't.
thing?
and I hear you. My fear is. I'm sorry, D'Angelo, to cut you off.
No,
But
I'm cool.
my fear is this. My fear is I was here before, and very uncomfortable to trade for Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, I was
Very
about to say that.
uncomfortable.
Thank you.
And I see myself right there again with while I think RJ has more upside than Wilson Chandler does right now. We still didn't know we had Wilson Chandler and spent the wheels on Carmelo. It's just going to cost so much for Dame.
Yes.
What will we have left when I can see right now we have a core? One thing about this team, we didn't do well in the plus or minus, but we competed about 80% of the nights. We just had moments, and I think those moments can be corrected. It's only, I'll be honest, if the last 2 months wasn't as good as it was, I wouldn't be having this conversation. But while we didn't get results, I was impressed with the way this team played the last 2 months. And it was mostly when RJ Barrett said, I am a leader on this team. I am one of the best players in the NBA, and I'm going out to show it night in and night out. And Jules is finally starting to react to that. I don't know. It's just very risky to tear this all up and move away and hope you're going to get one player for 6, 7 other players plus draft picks.
Yeah. I'd rather just briefly, real quick. I just want to say, about the young core guys, I do like them. I like this young core guys. Yeah, I wouldn't just throw everything to get Lillard, unless you're going to make some movement for a Scotty Barnes type, or him per se, like him. That's a different story. But Lillard, no, he's worried about a rap contract or whatever it is, music rip. I ain't worried about that. He ain't worried about the Knicks too much. So I would not rip up like what you said about the Melo thing. I got, you got that gun shy feeling. You just don't want to do that and rip up the core young guys you got. I like them. They each one of them are individual, but they have their own talents, and I do like them. So I wouldn't rip it up just to get Lillard. Just my
if you ran it back, but play Deuce more minutes, giving that young guy an opportunity to show what he has. I know he brings the defense. You don't need him to have excellent offense because you're relying on RJ, right? RJ's your piece that's going to carry you, or is going to be the future. So if RJ and Randall are doing the scoring, you just need them out there for your defense. I think that was the biggest issue for us in the beginning of the season, not being able to stop the ball at the point of attack, having Kemba and Fournier on the floor at the same time. So I think if we ran it back with the young guys and with the way Quickly has been playing of late, I think we see a different team, and we'll really figure out what we have in order if we need to trade them or not.
Chuck, I just want to add one thing to your take. Don't forget Rose is back next year. So because of that, McBride might take a little back hit, but I think the team will be much better for it. I really do overall. But don't forget Rose should be back.
But and I'm factoring that in. My fault. I'm factoring that in. I'm factoring that in because Rose inevitably, sorry, but he's going to get hurt at some point in the season, right? So I feel like you can run a three-man guard situation where you have the experience of Rose to come in certain situations, especially. All right. Well, I know this week we saw something different with Miami and Deuce, right? But those high stake games where you need a veteran to calm it down, because sometimes Quickly can be a little nuttish. You still have a Derrick Rose. I would take a Derrick Rose every day of the week over a Kemba Walker, being the veteran lead guard or the veteran guard on my bench. I think a guy like Deuce with more minutes will take pressure off the wear and tear on a D Rose's body, because he's definitely someone that you can use. I know I'm being a little forward, but come playoff time, you'll need a guy like Derrick Rose.
Okay.
Always.
I think the big thing with Lillard is this, that he's been in Portland for so long and he's only made it out the first round one time. And when they did do that, they got swept in the Western Conference Finals. rest of the other times have been first round exits. So I guess
And
the question, I was asked the question real quick. I guess the question becomes that if you do gut some of the roster, you do give up this draft capital, and you do give up a young player for a guy, does it necessarily promise that he can move the needle past the first round if he hasn't been able to do it to the destination he was before for most of his career?
More of the same old.
I'll say this. Like I'm not on the. I don't really want Lillard, but if they do make the move, right? What would it may move the needle? He may get out, to the Eastern Conference Finals, being for the fact that you still got an up and coming RJ if you don't move him, and you have Randall. So it all depends on those two, to be honest. Because if you think about it, most of the time what we're missing in the fourth quarters and stuff like that, crunch time, is a player that can score and get a bucket for us, and that might be.
So wait, Kendall, are you suggesting we can get Lillard without RJ or Randall?
Probably.
And how? Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of ending it. That's why I'm not getting so excited about this.
Yeah.
Because Lillard's looking. He's played with the superstar too before. He's looking for a complete team, and we'll be a gutted roster if we were to get Lillard.
Yeah. He's a Laker. Let's just say, put it like that. He's a Laker. Somehow, some way, LeBron's just gonna be like, "Get me Dame," and he'll get it.
I don't know. And so I think we have exactly what it is that Portland is looking for. Like I mentioned, a few things, right? So I mentioned rebuilding teams, like young players, generally, you can't speak to every rebuilding team because their internal needs and discussions we're not privy to. Plus, every roster doesn't look exactly the same, right? But the Knicks do have attractive contracts going into next season, like the Burks contract to be more attractive. The Noel contract will be more attractive because at the end of the season, you cannot pick up their team option, right? And then that money comes off their books, where you'll have $20 million to go towards free agency. Also, the Knicks have extra draft picks that they can offer. A bunch of second round picks. I can't remember the number, but so we do have. I think we have one this year and two next year, something like that, and one the year after, or whatever. The Knicks also have attractive young players. At least we think they're attractive. Like, we don't know how attractive they are around the league. The only young player we have that we know for a fact has suitors is Mitchell Robinson, because Dallas, OKC, and Detroit all showed interest at the trade deadline, right? So I'm assuming if some teams show interest, I think he'd be on most teams' radar. Now to what degree, like how thirsty they are after Mitch, would always fluctuate based on team needs. So what I would say is, if you don't put RJ in a deal, if you do send them, say, a Randall, and other pieces like Burks that would be coming off the books, Rose that would be coming off the books, Noel that would be coming off the books after next season, plus a bevy of first round picks and a young player or two like Cam Reddish and Obi Toppin, I do believe you can get a deal done and keep some of that young core that you have, and some of the young core that you like in place to help with Damian Lillard. Like, to me, the perfect complement to a Damian Lillard right now at this stage in his career is a Deuce McBride, a dude that's going to come in and defend. I don't know how often they'll play at the same time, but we have to also take into account, not only is Quickly a be here, but we would assume that Quickly would be in line to get more minutes next season as he gets better and better, as he develops. And you would assume that Quentin Grimes would get more minutes next year as he develops and gets better. So to say that the roster would be gutted completely because we signed Damian Lillard, I don't know is totally true, because Dame, even if so I think Dame makes $44 million next year. And I think that's if you add what Rose makes, what say a Fournier makes, what a Noel makes, what a Burks makes, that money is more than what Damian Lillard makes. Now, and if I asked you straight, if I asked Portland straight up, would they take those guys for Damian Lillard straight up in a deal? They would say no. So with me saying giving them first round picks and expiring contracts and an attractive young piece, I think that entices Portland to at least consider making the move. To consider it. I don't think it's a slam dunk. They hang up as soon as they hear it.
I agree with that. Well, and also, if you do add Randall in that, they don't necessarily have to keep Randall. They can also flip Randall for another young asset or, draft picks. So you don't necessarily have to keep Randall. Like, they don't have to. They don't want to.
And also, too, the big thing is that he is going on 32. So you got to ask the question that with that money and his age, how much elite production can you really get for him for how many years? And if you only get it for 2 and you're just trying to do that throughout Tibbs's contract, for example, then, if that's something you want to go ahead and gamble on, I guess that's fine. But I guess my pushback would be that how far would you really get? And you still mortgage a good portion of the youth and some draft picks.
Unless they buy in time.
So to that, I will ask you, how good do you think Obi Toppin will be with a point guard like Damian Lillard?
Well, it depends. Well, do you see Damian Lillard as a guy that can possibly make Obi Toppin a better player? Because knowing that Obi needs the ball and he can't generate his own offense.
That is the $1 million question. Like for me right now, for me and Obi Toppin, I don't know. But at the same time, I did backtrack off of how I thought Grimes was a ham sandwich. Mm-hmm. And I feel the sensation that I might be doing that for Obi. Now listen, y'all, don't pass out or whatever. If I say that I don't think Obi, I'm gonna say this. I think Obi is no longer a dunk contest participant. I do think he deserves an NBA jersey. So I'm going from I'm coming back to respecting the dude's game, especially in the Miami game where he recognized the defender was closing out. He pump faked, took 2 dribbles, and made a 10-foot jumper. That shows me that he's making progress in his deal. And Obi Toppin doesn't have to impress me, right? We know that. But if you have a lineup of Dame, RJ, Grimes, Obi, Mitch, I know it doesn't sound attractive off rip, but you also have Sims off the bench. You also have McBride and Quickly, right? Then if you can backfill with a veteran or 2, I think the roster is at least competitive. Now, does that get us to the Eastern Conference Finals? Probably not. But it doesn't make us a playoff team for maybe 2 or 3 seasons. It's better than the alternative we're facing right now because we're still paying. Don't get it twisted. That $44 million that Damian Lillard is making in Portland, if he was traded here, we're still paying somebody that $44 million. We just don't like the guys that we're paying that $44 million to. We're still the Knicks are, and I think we're over the cap. So the Knicks are over the cap. So don't get it twisted. Like the Knicks are not paying guys. The Knicks are paying guys.
Oh, they got the money. Yeah.
Right. So in the contracts to match Lillard's salary. So don't look at it as a Damian Lillard is a 32-year-old point guard, and you know what I'm saying, with no upside, because you have a 33-year-old point guard in Derrick Rose that's making about $13 million a year. You have Burks making 10. You have Fournier making 18. Right? That's almost Damian Lillard's salary right there. Would you trade Fournier, Burks, and Rose for Damian Lillard? Yes, you would.
Of course.
And you would get more production from Damian Lillard. You know
of course. But the thing is that with Portland take that, of course, the salaries match, but would Portland want that? And of course, for their blue chipper, as you call them, they would kind of want a potential or a blue chipper back of return.
And indeed, to your point earlier that you were making about Portland wanting to make this kind of quick turnaround, somebody put in the chat, and it kind of exactly what I was thinking. I see them more so looking at a guy like Jeremy Grant, bringing in somebody like that for this quick turnaround, a rebuild, and potentially snatching him off Detroit and then signing him to a contract because he wants more money, as we know. And two things I want to say, Freezie, thank you for finally seeing the light. Like somebody said in the chat, I guess the Miami game was a life changer for you. So you've now come to G-Man's side, and I'm glad that we can now say that Grimes is not Damian Dotson.
Yeah, facts.
And then to add on to this, guys, one thing that we have to remember is that Damian Lillard wants a new contract. So unless the Knicks are willing to give him that new contract that he's seeking, I don't really know if this trade should even benefit us at all.
But what if like this Dame thing is just a stepping stone for Zion in a couple years, as far as like if he becomes an unrestricted free agent and you want to leave? Now I got Dame. Now I got Cam. Now I got
Keyshawn, you have a 34-year-old Dame.
Yeah,
Keyshawn,
but then
you're the one that said
Zion.
I'm sorry, Keyshawn. I didn't give you your props. I just saw it in the chat. I didn't see a name. So Keyshawn was the one who brought up the Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, but you got a 34-year-old Dame, but in a couple of years you'll have a 4-year vet and Quickly. So you never know what Quickly is going to be at that time.
But you do know. See, that's what I'm saying. That's the reason why you do the trade, because the question marks, all this, what's behind door number one and what's behind. When you get Dame Lillard, you know what you're getting. All right, you know you're getting a multiple-time All-Star and a guy who chokes in the playoffs, right? But you know what you're getting in Damian Lillard. At least you know what Damian Lillard is, right? And so you pay next year's money, and then you give him the extension, the 2-400. So it's next year. Then it's 44, then 50-50. So you pay him 44, 50-50, right? Okay. You were going to pay $50 million in salary to somebody anyway. You were going to do that, right? Whether it's one guy or 4 guys, you were still going to pay that money, right? The thing is, you know your point guard position has been a disaster since Clyde Frazier. At some point, we have to get out of this mindset of no, we can't use our salary cap the way other teams use their salary cap. But guess what other teams are doing? Other teams are winning.
Yeah. They go all in.
Portland was respectable in winning games with Damian Lillard, bro.
So let me ask you a question, right? So you would give up RJ, right? Because they're gonna ask for that, because that's the closest thing you got.
I would to be honest with you, I would not entertain the RJ part. Now, if they were open to any other player, I would be open to any other stuff.
So Randall is, let's just say, I'm just throwing it out there. So if they ask for Randall, they'll take him.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you do that, would that impact RJ's development? Because we do know that Dame Lillard's ball usage is above 30, 32, 33, around there every year. So would that impact how RJ moves and how he's initiating to the offense and what he is?
No, not really.
I think
look at CJ. CJ played with him. He still was putting up above 20 points.
Oh, no, but CJ could shoot, though, and he could create his own shot.
Yeah, but we don't know, like, next year RJ might come back and be that dude. It all depends.
No, of course, but we're basing it on RJ now.
RJ now?
Yeah.
I mean, not really. I mean, look at Randall's ball usage. So I mean,
it's 26.
Yeah, but those are different though. So those are different. So I think with Dame Lillard, I think you would see Dame still hit those big time shots that we need. Right? I think Dame can handle double teams and sophisticated defenses better than the alternatives with RJ Barrett in the backcourt, like better than Alec Burks would, better than Derrick Rose, better than Kemba, better than any of the other guards that played alongside RJ. Dame Lillard can handle that better. And then at the same time, we won't complain as much about Tom Thibodeau's offense because it won't be the old school power forward banging in the mid post trying to find the open guy because the double teaming is coming from an exotic place, right? If you trap up high, if you try to trap Damian Lillard up high, right? So who would the center be? Would the center be Jericho Sims? Just asking. Would Mitch go in a deal or would we re-sign Mitch? Because if we re-sign Mitch, say for instance, if we re-sign Mitch, I think Mitch becomes that 12 and 10 guy that we all want. Because defenses have to stretch their defense all the way out to Damian Lillard's 3-point range.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And also at the same time, with the floor being stretched, that means more driving lanes to the basket for RJ Barrett. And so what I guess what I'm getting at is I think Damian Lillard can only help us offensively. Now defensively, y'all know how I feel about Damian Lillard. He's the worst. You know, he was ranked him and I think him, Kemba, and Kevin Knox last season were the worst defensive players in the NBA.
Yeah.
And that's like 3 years in a row for Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So defensively, you already know what you're gonna get. Nothing.
Well, I mean, you can hide them though. Like if you put nice big wings out there, you can hide them.
Yeah, right. Grimes. If you put Grimes next to him and then RJ at the 3, you could do exactly what D said. You can hide them like how Trae Young get hit, and Steph. They all get hit because the team defense is great, so you can hide.
Right.
And D, I don't know if you hinted at this earlier, but for me at least, I'm not really behind this also because I'm not seeing how Damian Lillard is going to make these other players better. Because we all know here, like it doesn't take anybody like to know that Damian Lillard is not a playmaker as far as point guard. He is a scorer. He's going to get his. So we're really willing to still not address the point guard situation in a sense because we're basically getting a shooting guard in a point guard's body, just like if we would have traded for CJ McCollum, who's actually a better playmaker. So in this scenario, I don't really like it because Damian Lillard is not going to facilitate. He's still going to score. Basically what we saw from Kemba Walker, but from a better efficiency rating.
Yeah, and I got your truck right. I'll be quick. And also too, the other day, I'm a hard pass on it too. I'm just entertaining it just to explore different avenues and alternatives, right? But I think the big thing for me is his age, and the contract with the age. I think is the really big thing. And he's not something like a Chris Paul where you insert a Chris Paul and he changes the whole chemistry and dynamic of your team, and he becomes the leader and everybody falls in line. Dame is not built like that. So, yeah.
That was going to be my point. That was going to be my point. I just don't. I feel like it'll be the same thing with Kemba all over again, except we're paying $40 million. Yes, Dame Lillard will have amazing games and hit big shots, but we saw Kemba do the same thing. Now you have to balance out the floor. Okay, Randall wasn't the greatest defender, so he's gone in the trade. You're probably going to have to move Mitch in the trade. So you're relying on Obi Toppin and Jericho Sims to be your front court presence. And you're expecting Grimes and RJ to be your primary defenders. So there's 3 guys on the floor. Well, 2 guys on the floor. I think Jericho Sims in time is going to be a really good defender. He just needs time. I don't know if I like that. I think we'll be in the same position that we're in now, except that we're playing somebody $40 million instead of 8 or 9. I don't like it. I don't like this trade for us. This feels like we're getting Stephon Marbury.
Yeah, and
I get it.
I want to say,
wasn't good for the Knicks.
I enjoy watching them though sometimes.
I got a question, guys. Are we setting our sights too high? do we have to set our sights so high? Have everybody forgotten about Donovan Mitchell? Pretty name,
Yes.
beautiful. Wait, let me finish. Better contract, and you don't have to give up the lot to get him. There's guys out there. All I want to say, I say it like this to say, we don't have. I don't think we have to reach for the sky, and that means Leonard, because that contract is not very attractive, guys. And when you get him, you're going to give up quite a bit to get him. Donovan Mitchell is a 5-year deal at $28 million. That's a way better friendly contract. And then you're still able to keep some of your major pieces on the team. If you think about the team right now and the production that it had last year, wasn't very far off from being a decent squad. Now, if you get Leonard, you're going to give up quite a few pieces, and you're going to look to try to get those pieces back. So you're still looking and searching. Now, I'm not saying Mitchell is the answer, but there's players out there that you could probably fight for. There's a guy named Reggie Jackson that plays with the Clippers, who's a true point guard. 2 years, $10 million. How would he fit on the Knicks? Defensive-minded point guard, true point guard. I'm just throwing these out there because our sights are set so high. And when you look at other players in a sense, you're able to keep these strong pieces around them. Now, remember, Randall is expendable with Obi playing the way he is right now. There's where you can get other pieces. And you get even a Reggie Jackson. You bring in a Reggie Jackson, you cover that point guard position. You get rid of Randall. You cover other areas on the team. I believe the team will be even stronger. Now, if you get Leonard, I understand. Leonard's he's a great player. But you're going to give up quite a bit to get him. And will it be enough to get you from the first to the second round? Just a question to the panel.
Here's the thing. First of all, in the premise is that you assume that we wouldn't have to give up as much for what's his name? You just mentioned for the Jazz.
Mitchell.
For Donovan Mitchell than Damian Lillard. And that I have to question with you before I go any further, because you have to understand that Mitchell is younger. Right now, he's at a better explosive point in his career than Lillard is, and also too, the Jazz are not rebuilding mode like Portland is right now. So
but he's not happy. He's not happy.
That regardless, but the Jazz still have to get their juice back. So it might actually be more for Mitchell than for Lillard.
And the NBA is not letting nobody rob nobody for a star. It's not happening. We're gonna have to pay fair market value. They're gonna be sure.
Exactly. Well, and I understand your argument, but you're giving up the lot if you get Leonard.
Well, I have a question for that though.
One more thing, and you can go ahead. I'm not saying that but you're basic. You figure you are. You figure they're gonna want quite. Plus, you're looking at his contract. You know their contract is there. He's not going to come down on it. So I just brought up Mitchell because there is pretty names out there also, and I really do not believe that they would, because I believe they would take more young players than one. At least I believe you could keep RJ. Randall is expendable. If you keep RJ and get either one of these guys, you're still on the right track. Is what I'm saying.
I want to know if there is a way to do that. I would like to know how, because I honestly think that in either trade scenario, the first guy that these teams is going to ask for is RJ Barrett. I don't even see them staying on the line unless you're putting RJ somehow in the deal.
Yeah, that's true.
The only other one that I figured just right quick. The only other one I know they probably would not ask for RJ for is Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, that's true.
And look, we've been through these conversations a million times, and we always boil back to, the ground, like the core of it. And it's that let's do something that we haven't done in 22 years, and let's build from the ground up, and not look for the quick fixes to get this, gut. We've tried all that. We've done all that. It hasn't led to a winning pedigree.
Absolutely
So.
Not.
I will entertain the conversations, and we could work with alternatives and avenues, but you guys know better than even I do, that I've said a million times, you got to build from the ground up. then you start attracting, because you're showing that you're a competent organization. You could develop, you could breed stars, you can work business with the NBA, and the NBA will feel good in getting stuff back in return. People love the culture, people love the energy. Now people want to come. Now people will come, and you get them in free agency and that and stuff of that nature. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
the
think
I
so.
think that
So let me do this real quick. Hold on, wait a minute. Paris Duggar, thank you for your generous contribution. Thank you for your super chat, Paris Duggar. So Paris Duggar says Mitch is gone, Role's gone. We're drafting their replacements. All cap space is for Zion or Spider. We're the Suns coming out of bubble status. And he got one more. Hold on. And there's one more. Where is it? All right. And so Paris Duggar says, y'all are too smart to be talking Dame Lillard.
Let me get this question real quick. Do y'all think the rise of Simons lowers the value of Lillard as far as like trading for him? Because they might be like, I see Simons doing his thing coming up. Now Lillard might not cost that much because we don't need him as much because we're moving in a different direction.
The only people in the asset benefits is the team who has the asset.
Right.
So what it does is it make Lillard expendable, but doesn't mean you get him cheaper.
Yeah,
that
his
means they
value
can
is
see
still
the
the same.
future without Leonard, but don't mean you get them cheap. It means that they can afford to make the move. That's what you just said. That's what that means.
I agree, GR. That's where I was going. His value is still the same. You know what type of player
Yeah.
he is. It's just you got a guy on there in Simons who's showing you promise. That's all.
I just don't agree with the Leonard thing. I think he's going to gut the team too much. I really do.
That's because you're scared. Ain't no harm in being afraid, bro. The thing is.
But what's the end game with getting Lillard?
And what's it cost?
Does that make
in game and cost?
Is it a championship?
No, but what it is? Listen to me. Hear me on this. What it is your young guys get introduced to a level of stardom in high leverage games they would not be able to pull themselves up to in the time frame that would be acceptable for these guys, right? And so what I'm getting at is this: is say if we build organically, say if we add, if we run it back and we draft our guy, and say with our pick we draft a Johnny Davis, Tari Eason, Ben Mathurin, Jalen, whatever his name is, type of guy, right? He is still just one young guy added to a mix of other young guys. Is he going to be better than the guys that we already have? We don't know. We would hope so. But then the saga continues with a young core, hoping that they would get better. So instead of being 32-50, they'll be 36 and 46 the next season. And then you go on down, you go up this road until like in 3 or 4 years, the team, is a second round team and blah, blah, blah. You go get the guy, you go get Damian Lillard, not just any guy. Now, notice when I did the tip off, I didn't just say, hey, trade for some superstar that'll help you get. I specifically mentioned like just one guy who solves all or most of our needs. Now, with Damian, when you get Damian Lillard, of course, RJ is going to have to play the 3, right? Some people don't like that, right? But you get Dame, you have Grimes, who will be your Josh Hart type player. RJ at the 3, Obi, and whoever you have at center, right? And that team with those young guys getting those high leverage games and get better and better and better. All RJ needs is a guy to be the man right now until he's ready. That's all RJ needs, because one day RJ Barrett is going to be the man. Y'all have to prepare yourselves for that. One day RJ Barrett is going to be the leader of this franchise. That day is not today. And that year may not be next year, right? It may be the year after or the year after, but you have to prepare yourself for that. And how you prepare yourself for that is putting a guy in front of RJ that's going to take all the bullets, all that stuff for RJ as he grows. So when RJ is the 23-year-old version, 24-year-old, 25-year-old version of himself, he can handle that stuff in his own and carry the franchise. So you get a 3-year window from Damian Lillard, and that's what you're getting. Plus the other young guys on the team get better by playing in high leverage games.
Yeah, almost like Shaq did with
So wait, so hold on, that's crazy. So your thought process behind it is that the reason to get Lillard is to breed the young guys to take the mantle once the car breaks down. No, seriously, that's what you're saying, right?
No, I don't know. I can't follow. I didn't understand that one.
Yeah, because you said that it gives RJ a couple of years to build up, right? Because then when Lillard gets too old, he will be the man at that time. I'm just quoting what you said.
Yeah, because Damian Lillard's contract to be over.
Correct.
But
so that's what I'm saying. So
are you guys forgetting the fact that if you get Leonard, you're not going to have RJ? They want it.
Yeah, you're gonna be giving up everything to get him, and he's gonna be.
But you don't have to do that. You don't have to say.
You're giving RJ away, Freezie. Freezie, you giving the premise. You giving the premise that you're giving the premise that you're still gonna have RJ. Well, I don't think so. I don't think you're still gonna have it.
Right, but bro, what I'm saying is that's what you are thinking, and that's what a lot of people in the chat may be thinking, that you have to give up RJ to get Lillard. But you don't have to give up RJ to get anybody in this league. The Knicks have other assets. Remember, I mentioned that already. The Knicks have multiple draft picks. They have nice young players, and they have contracts that will expire if you don't pick up the team option the following season. So you can offer Portland cap space, young players, and draft picks.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, man.
No, go ahead. No, finish your point. Sorry.
Nah, I'm done.
I was just trying to understand your thing. So the point of getting Lillard, right, is to, like, when you have these young guys, let's just say it's RJ, let's just say it's another guy, right? He could be an undisclosed name right now. They'll be playing second and third fiddle to Lillard until the organization feels that they're more prepared to take that mantle. And that's why I use the example of the car breaking down, because Lillard would be older and his contract, and then they take that. Was that your thinking behind it? Because that would change the conversation a bit.
So basically what I'm saying is Damian Lillard is a better support, like a better star and a better leader, so to speak, of a young core than Julius Randle. Now, you don't have to do the Lillard trade and keep Julius Randle and see how far that gets you.
Yeah, but can I say something? You don't know what you're going to be left with when you get Lillard here. What are you going to be left with? The same thing Melo was left with? That's what GI brought up earlier. You're going to have a situation where you're going to have all these guys gone, and who's he going to have to play with?
And
what did you trade? Okay, so what did you trade for Carmelo Anthony? Name one All-Star out of that group.
Well, before we
that season, Raymond Felton was looking like an All-Star.
And was he a Leonard? Was he a Leonard though?
Before we even get into that conversation of what
wait, no. Answer this question first. Who in that Carmelo Anthony trade became an All-Star?
We didn't say that today, though. My question is moved. We didn't make that comment, but okay.
I'm just getting.
I'm making a comment, man, because D'Angelo said.
I see you spinning it, but we didn't say that. That's a brand new topic, what you're bringing up now.
But that's not what I'm getting at. D'Angelo said it's like the Carmelo trade all over again. That's what he just said.
I did say that, but I'm saying, but what are you left with after you give up? Like, you get Lillard here. Who is he playing with? Because you're going to have to give up a lot to get him.
Right. So you're saying, none of that is for me. I'm just trying to understand because I can't follow. So who
I know you're bringing up
Melo, we have on the roster after we trade for a first ballot Hall of Famer? Who do we have on the roster with this first ballot Hall of Famer instead of the guys that we shipped away? That's what you're asking me?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying to give up too much. That's
That's what he's
they
asking.
give
Keep
up
it
everything.
clean, D'Angelo. That's what you're
No,
asking.
I know. To step into the
That's what you're
Hornets.
asking. Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
Yeah,
That's what he's
just be
asking. Go
straight
ahead, Bree.
about what you're asking, so it's no flaws in the
Yeah.
question.
No, I hear what you're saying. So what we gave up to get Mel, the guys that we gave up, Gallinaris, the Beltons, everybody. Like what did we give up? You're saying actually to get Melo? Is that what you're saying? Like how? Okay, I know what you're saying. There were a bunch of players, but there was a good fit at that time. That we, what's his face was trying to, the GM at the time was trying to build something. He didn't want to give up everything to get Melo. That's what I'm
Melo
saying.
would have been much
He's trying
better
to
playing
build
with those guys than playing without them. Dame
Yeah,
Lillard
that's
would be
true.
much
That's
better
true.
playing with these guys than playing without them. You would be
But who are those guys?
So you would be following the same pattern as you did before.
Right. And GI, you know what makes it worse is what I was gonna try to bring up. What makes this trade even worse in my eyes is when you did that trade for Melo. How old was Carmelo, guys? 27
26.
going on 20. Yeah. 26, 27. Damian Lillard's going on 32. That's 6 years older than a guy that you did the same type of trade for 10 years ago.
Right.
I don't see the benefit in doing this for a guy who's turning 32, like we said, who is not known as a playmaker, and you're giving up the roster. I don't see why you're doing that when we're not a move away from, like we said, even making a serious run. We're fighting just to even consider this team playing right now, and we're talking about making.
Hey Sam, how old are your top 2 point guards right now?
What did you say?
How old are your top 2 point guards on the roster right now? How old are your top 2 point guards right now?
They're the same age. But that's not a good point though. But
that's a great point. The point is you're worried about age, right? You're like worried about the guy we're gonna get is gonna be 32, but then the guys that you have are 33 and 31 respectively.
Even more reason to not do it.
And you're that confident, Freezie, that he's going to flourish here in New York, Lillard? There's a gamble there too, that he's going to flourish coming here to the big right. He's basically in Siberia where he is now. So.
Yeah,
I wanted to throw something in, guys.
That was one of my concerns. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I am concerned about that.
Yeah, I mean, you put all your eggs in this guy's basket, he's gonna crack every one.
Well, I don't know I wouldn't question his heart about like can he handle New York at all.
But he's coming to New York where everything's critiqued when they got one reporter over there in Portland.
I wanted to throw something in that was in the chat, guys. Brick Nation stated. He wanted me to throw a take in about a trade with the Bulls for D Rose, and I wanted to address that because at the present time, Kobe White is becoming expendable for the Bulls, and D Rose would definitely be welcome back in Chicago. Now, the only thing with that is we all know. I want to revert back to one of the panel members stating about Rose's health. And it's not like us on this panel are the only ones that know that Rose is kind of flimsy at this present time.
Brittle.
So with the love of Rose in Chicago and with the thought of Rose coming back to Chicago, there would be consideration. And just being honest, Kobe White is falling out of favor in Chicago. He really is. Now, I don't know how well you guys feel like he would fit in New York, but he's a young guy, and he can become a point guard. And the reason I'm bringing this up, Freezie, is because I'm not trying to break the Knicks team completely down. And I believe that's what the other panel members are basically trying to get across to you. When you start stripping it down, yeah, you get Dame, but then if you lose key pieces around him, how far are you going to get? You look different with the same record. So I'm throwing these scenarios out there, Reggie Jacksons and guys like that, just to try to keep the core intact and then add wins. Because if you can keep RJ, and I want to go back to this again, guys, Randall is expendable. That's where you get your key pieces from because you got Obi Toppin. Randall is expendable, guys. And then with all the turmoil that he's been going through, I don't think too many people would be upset to part ways with Randall. But when you're giving up a 20 and 10, you're going to get something back for that. It's a lot of teams out there would love to have Randall. So I just want to say in the trade for D Rose, I wanted to ask you guys, how do you guys like Kobe White? Now, I don't believe the Bulls would do that on a straight up deal. I don't know exactly what else they would ask for because I don't think Rose is quite enough just for Kobe White straight up. But the Bulls are looking for a big man now. And that's another question. Is Mitchell Robinson going to be there? See, when you start adding pieces, you got to make sure the other pieces are already there. So I felt like I wanted to bring that up because there was a good question from the panel. I mean, from the chat. And I didn't know how you guys felt about it, about Kobe White for Rose.
My thing with Kobe White is you said something about, he said he can become a point guard. That's the problem. Yeah. Like we keep getting players that got to transition and try to make into something instead of just actually getting that. You know what
Here's
I mean?
another thing too with the Chicago thing is that since Lonzo's been out for a good portion of your season, Ayu has risen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
well,
not
he's
Kobe.
not. Yeah. Well, I know it, but the Bulls are not parting ways with Ayu. You know that.
No, it's not even about that. I'm just saying that due to the situation and the circumstance at hand, Ayo should have never gone above Kobe.
Yeah, he's saying Kobe hasn't risen to the challenge.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, I know it. I know his trade value is way down. I know that.
So my thing is that why, as a fan base, why would we want anything to do with that? Especially if we already have like the.
Do you believe that Kobe White is an upgrade from Derrick Rose?
No.
Oh.
And this is what I'll say to your question also. Well, to your trade proposal, I guess, is that in my opinion, if I'm going to make a move for Kobe White, it's got to be something like the Cam Reddish deal because of the simple fact that this guy's going to be up for a new contract. We have to remember he's a part of that class that's up for a contract very shortly. So if you're going to make a trade for a Kobe White, it needs to be one of these guys who's on the back of the bench or a bargain deal, I guess, so to speak. If you're going to make a Kobe White type move. And he's also, like I kind of hinted at with Dame Lillard. Dame Lillard does get some players involved, but Kobe White is also working, as we know, and pointed out, to be a point guard as well. He's more so of a scorer than a playmaker right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, we have a better Kobe White anyway. We got IQ. You got a way better Kobe White on the team.
Yeah, I was just going to quote that. Somebody said that in the chat, and they're 100% right. Why not just keep IQ for them?
Okay, but you guys immediately said no, that he's not better than Derrick Rose. How long you guys think Derrick Rose is going to play? One,
he's
2,
only got to
3.
That's all we have him for is 1 or 2.
Okay, all right.
And will
you
Kobe
think he's
White
going to
ever
last
be
the whole
Derrick Rose
season?
now?
And the thing about Kobe White is if you trade for him, you have to up his contract. So you really only have him for 1 year. Then you have to pay him.
And also, too, forget about Derrick Rose. I got Emmanuel quickly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't mine. I just read it from the chat because one of the guys had written it. I just thought I would pose it to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We good. I'll just responding to the proposal. That's fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Reggie Jackson too, that's another stopgap.
He's a better stopgap than.
It's a better stopgap, but
yeah,
but I would just rather throw McBride in that role in my opinion.
And so that's the thing. The thing I'm getting at is if you don't do the Damian Lillard deal, you just stay with your kids. I mentioned that earlier. Like if you don't do the Damian Lillard thing, then you stay with Quickly and McBride at point with Derrick Rose mixed in. I don't know the Kemba situation. It seems like he's not on good terms with the organization, right? That's what it seems like. So if he's here next year, if he's not, I don't know. But right now, the point guard rotation looks like this: Kemba Walker, Derrick Rose, Emmanuel Quickly, Miles McBride. And if you can upgrade over that by getting Damian Lillard, I would say do so. That's what I'm getting at.
Do you have any other guys of that caliber that are a little bit younger that could be a more possibility?
Donovan?
I don't
Mitchell.
because I agree. I don't like the Donovan Mitchell thing. I don't know because he's not a point guard. He can play make, but he's not a point guard, right? So I agree with. So you and I had a conversation about 2 months ago, right? Blow it up, start all over from scratch. or something like that in that thought process. Develop the kids. I pointed out scouting first. Scout these guys, bring them in, develop them, and let them grow. Right? If there is any alternative, this is me. If I had any alternative, and it's only one, there is only one alternative for me, and that is the Damian Lillard trade. If it's off the table, I'm going back. So I'm 98% do this one thing, 2% Damian Lillard. Right? Okay. There is no, I'm not looking to trade for. Look, I'm not trying to trade for Zach LaVine. I don't care about Bradley Beal, right? I don't care about the young kid in New Orleans, Brandon Ingram. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care about Jaylen Brown or none of these other people, right? Because I would rather take my chances with Ben Mathurin and then whoever we get out of next year's draft.
I agree.
That's what I'm saying. I think if the Knicks get Ben Mathurin, I'm saying I wouldn't even do the Damian Lillard deal. If we get Ben Mathurin, I'm taking the Damian Lillard thing off the table, out of my memory banks.
Yeah.
But to blow it up, Freezie, you think the fan base are you ready for that?
What do you mean?
To blow it up, to start all the way over. You ready? Okay. If you're ready for that.
You have to be Marvin, because you don't have what the ingredients that are necessary to go be a championship contending team.
Right.
Now remember, this is two or three of us. I mean, I'm just saying, dude.
Hey, I can't speak to the other 97%.
Hey, you know what I've been saying for months. I've been on the rebuild trick.
Exactly. I mean, what if in 2 or 3 years, none of the players that the young core that we keep the young core 2 or 3 years from now, none of them pan out to be anything. You still gonna have to rebuild. You still gonna have to rebuild.
Right.
Again,
you're gonna have to blow it up, regardless.
And so Paris Duggar, thank you for the generous contribution. Paris Duggar says, I'll bet my house quickly runs this team in 2 years. And also, Paris Duggar says, this is grouped with Cam, this and next year's draft is it. And then he also, Pierre Moise says, yo, love and respect to the family. Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate you, bro. I would say, I don't know if Quickly is the long-term answer at point guard. I would bet he is in that mix somehow. But in terms of a franchise point guard, I don't know. To me, it's TBD. I don't think so. But I was wrong about Grimes, and so I may also be wrong about Quickly. I don't know.
And Freezie, it's sad to say, but the way we're going, you might have to do a little trade-up scenario to get your savior at this point.
Yeah.
Freezie, question. Do you think if you put your stock in Quickly, you would have the same record if you got Dame in here? Now, remember, if you keep Quickly and you go that route, you're going to keep your current core. But if you bring Dame in, you're going to lose quite a bit. So which scenario would lead to a better record in the future, 2 years from now?
Hey, my friend, you are severely sleeping on the impact of a Hall of Fame point guard. Damian Lillard is not just an all-star point guard, man. He's a Hall of Fame first ballot type point guard, right? His name is going to be mentioned with Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton, right? This dude is not just. This dude is not. Who started at point guard in it? Who started at point guard this year for the East? I can't even remember. But Dame Lillard is not going to be mentioned in that category. Dame Lillard is going to be mentioned in the Steph Curry
Trae Young
class.
started, I believe.
Yeah. And I agree, Freezie, but he's not going to.
Yeah, LaMelo
I agree,
Ball.
Freezie, but you're going to lose quite a bit to get him. Now, I'm not saying he's not that general. I'm not saying he's not that talent. What I'm saying is, will he be able to do this with a half a roster?
Well, for one,
will he want to? Will he want to because he wanted out of Portland? So
yes, good point. Yeah.
I mean, I believe you're looking at it, Freezie, as if you're just getting him, and the Knicks are not giving up anybody. They're gonna have to give up something to get him.
That's not what I said. I never said that, and I never even mentioned that was my line of thinking. I never said that was my line of thinking. My line of thinking is I know you're gonna have to give up something, but you, my friend, have clearly stated that what we're giving up is mostly players. And I mentioned that the Knicks have valuable assets to include draft picks, expiring contracts, and young players.
Yeah.
You remember me saying
But
that?
will Portland take them? Or will they want RJ? Real simple.
We don't know. And if they want RJ, so do we.
Exactly.
They want RJ, we do too.
You know, one question that I expected somebody to ask this, and it hasn't been asked yet, is Damian Lillard a Tibbs player? I know that Damian Lillard is, like you said, first ballot Hall of Famer, yeah, yada yada, resume. Does Tibbs want a Damian Lillard as his point guard?
Right.
Probably
Because,
because
like you mentioned,
IQ
Tibbs
pull up
isn't
from
going
wherever.
anywhere. I'm just asking. I'm just posing the question.
Nah, I got you. I mean, it could be, but for me, I would love to see IQ be the franchise point guard, but he just got to do two things for me, like just read the defense better and his shot selection. If he could get those two things, down packed, then I don't see why not. But he got to definitely do those two things next year and in years to come.
Freezie, I want to make it clear to you. I love your proposal. I love it. I'm just thinking they might ask for too much for him. And then you still have to take on the contract. That's all I'm thinking.
But you're paying the money anyway. And so the money part of it don't matter. Because you're gonna be paying, you're still gonna be paying 90% of the salary cap regardless of what trade you make.
Okay.
That's just a part of the game.
So how do we fill out the roster?
Yep.
Because you're gonna have to at least put 4 players to match salary, right? Because he's making 40, so you're gonna need at least four.
But you get to give up some draft picks. You get to give up some draft picks to probably cut $5 or $6 million off the salary. But
so Chuck, next year's salaries, right?
Yes, sir.
Julius Randle and Evan Fournier met salaries with Dame Lillard.
Okay.
Just about, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's two pieces.
So you give up. Let's say you give up those two guys. Now, who do you get to fill in those roster spots? Because that was the issue with the other trade for the other superstar is what they did after the trade by signing bad contracts,
right?
For bad players,
right? So
and you do have Obi.
So Chuck, look at it this way first. All right. So the trade scenarios are different. So for one, you traded for Carmelo Anthony during the season. Okay. You traded for Carmelo Anthony 2 days before the NBA trade deadline. Right?
Right.
Yeah, and that was in 2011, I think. Whatever the year is. Right? Now the trade deadline is passed. If the Knicks acquire Damian Lillard, more than likely it's going to be during the offseason. Right? More than likely it's going to be during the offseason. I don't see the Knicks trading for Damian Lillard going into next season. I don't see Portland trading Damian Lillard going into next season. I think it's probably going to be done during the offseason. When every team is basically on equal footing and they can get the best offers from every team as opposed to teams with, saying certain niche assets that may be available. Portland won't handcuff themselves. I think that's the reason why they didn't trade Damian Lillard at this trading deadline, right? Because they couldn't get all the best offers that they can get, right? So the Melo trade and the Dame Lillard trade will not be the same, even though they look similar, right? And so the thing is, and the reason why I bring that up is because you have an entire offseason to work on bringing filling out the roster, basically. And then you could also with the assets remaining, like say for instance, you have Nerlens Noel, you can trade Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks in a 2-for-3, which brings you 3 players back when you send out 2. Now you plus 1 player. It's a bunch of stuff you can do. The possibilities are endless, man. So the Damian Lillard thing, man, listen, it's as simple as this. Either you can trade for Damian Lillard or not. But remember, running it back means Julius Randle is going to be leading your team into next season.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I don't agree with running it back.
Yeah,
I don't
dude.
agree with the run back thing. I think I'm not sure. The only reason I'm not sure about the Dame thing is because I'm just afraid it's going to tear everything down.
So let me talk to,
And
so
I
let me
think
say
there's other
this.
avenues.
But I think if we're going to push the conversation along and really challenge ourselves the way D is constantly challenging me, I think then you have to say, if you don't agree with running it back and you don't want to trade, then what are you going to do? Because, and more
Right.
specifically, what are you going to do with Mitchell Robinson? You have to do something. And what I'm saying is, and again, here's my factual position. Here's why I want you to believe what I'm saying. Because in a boardroom, in a business decision, you have to start with what assets you have. I'm not underselling anything that I'm seeing the last 2 months. McBride is better than what the NBA thinks of him. How do we know that? Because as Knicks fans, we get to see his strengths and his weaknesses, and we know the dysfunction he's playing in. Sims is better than what the NBA believes he is. RJ is better. Everybody on our team is better than what the NBA believes they are because of the level of dysfunction. We're not performing the way we do. I want to see another solid offseason, another solid draft. And heck, I'm still have my fingers crossed that we can win this draft. And that's why I just, we still can win this draft.
Yeah, and why go through the same pain that we've always gone through, just getting a big name like that, blowing crap up? I'd rather just keep building upon the kids. Who knows what this invisible front office is thinking either. They could be going that route. They're just saying we're not going to get the big name like that. We're just going to keep building like this with kids and stuff like that.
So if you build with, but if you do so my thing is, so if you build with the kids, and I'm not against building with the kids. I'm not. As a matter of fact, that's my preference. My preference would be to build with the kids. Now, with that said,
right,
we assume that all these kids are going to be quality NBA players, and that's a bad thing to assume. And we assume that all these young kids are going to be here when we get out of the rebuild. And that's a dangerous thing to assume. Right?
Right.
What I'm saying is, if there is an alternative, right? If there is an alternative to just blowing it up and starting from scratch, then that is the alternative. Right?
Right.
That's what I'm saying to you. Like for instance, you don't know for certain that Quentin Grimes is going to progress into being the starting shooting guard of the future for the New York Knicks for the next 8 years. You can't say nobody that's responsible can say that. And nobody that's responsible can say Miles McBride is going to develop into a point guard on this roster for the next 8 seasons. Nobody can say that with any certainty. We're guessing and speculating, and at the same time hoping and wishing, because we like these guys, right? They have more cachet because we like them, because we get to see them and we grow to love them. And so I think somebody put in the chat one time, facts over fantasy. I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes I put fantasy over facts when it comes to our young players, because I want these guys to develop into those things that we need to help us win a championship. But you can't guarantee that. You can't guarantee RJ Barrett's going to take that next step. Look at RJ Barrett in year 3 and look at his efficiencies. Right? So are we assuming that RJ Barrett will be more efficient in year 4? Well, year 4, that's a long time to go from year 1 to year 4 and not be an efficient scorer with a scorer's mentality. So you can't
Freezie,
guarantee
I think
that.
you weigh.
Okay, bro.
I'm sorry. I think you weigh these averages more on the age factor. Dame is 32 years old. So the question I have to you, how many years do you think he will be here before you win a championship? And how many years do you think you have with him being at 32 years old?
In my opinion, acquiring Dame, you won't win a championship with Dame Lillard on the roster. But what you do is you bring Dame in, and now you automatically upgraded your assets. So now you get Dame, If you don't like Dame and he don't like you, guess what you can do with Damian Lillard?
You tell me.
You can trade him and acquire assets. Right?
And he's going to go off the book.
And the assets
That
you get for the assets you get for Damian Lillard will be more attractive or just as attractive as the assets that you traded away to get Damian Lillard.
So,
and you think anybody will take on that contract, Freezie?
Yes. You talking about Damian Lillard?
Okay, well, hold up. I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. So we're trading for Damian Lillard to not win and then trade away Damian Lillard to get back young assets that we traded to get Damian Lillard here in the first place.
Right. That's not what I said.
I'm just trying to see what you're saying. That's why I'm
all right. Pay attention. So what I said was this: if we trade for Damian Lillard and he doesn't like us and we don't like him and it doesn't work out, then we can trade Damian Lillard. That's what I said. I didn't say you trade him to get him to flip him. I never said that.
No, but I'm saying that's essentially what it would be if he doesn't like the fit. That's what I'm saying.
And that's the bus.
What?
Then he gave up all those assets.
Yeah, this is all the Carmelo Anthony trade fault.
If I could help with the business side, because again, because there's business acumen to this. You don't buy a car off a lot and then say, all right, you know what, I don't like the car, I'm just gonna go back. You're gonna lose value. You will lose value if you trade your good assets. You won't get back. So we might have to trade Dame, and you could get away with it, but you'll never get back what you put out once you drive the car. Loses value.
Facts.
Especially at his age. Right?
Yeah, I kind of disagree.
That's the key with me, the age factor.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right.
And I don't mind the disagreeing. I just ask how I move, Freezie. I'm a little black and white. I don't play in the gray. So if I disagree, like I gave you a solid example.
You are definitely black and white right now.
You're definitely in the black and white.
So I just asked you to give a I just asked to hear a solid response to the disagreement. It just makes me feel a little better. It makes me smarter. Just to hear somebody disagree and not know why, I don't gain anything from it. I like to gain. I learn every day, man. My humility is on fleek. Pause.
Okay. So okay. Okay.
Oh yeah, just real quick, just so we stay in context, we're on the same page. What Sam was trying to say is that what you're proposing, right, is that we give up assets to get Dame, right? And you threw a scenario. It was an alternative in saying that, let's say, for example, if Dame doesn't work, right, you can always trade him, right? And you can receive assets back. So I guess what Sam was trying to get, he was like, it's kind of like on the hamster wheel where you're spinning and spinning and spinning, but you still end up in the same place because you gave up the assets. It really didn't work. And then now you have to go ahead and get assets to get back something that didn't work. And that's to GI's point, is that once you bring out that car and it runs its mileage and it gets older and stuff like that, and car parts have to be assessed for, it loses its value. Then when you took it off the lot to the blue book value of you trying to sell it.
Yeah. And Freezie, I want to make it clear. I'm not buking your take on Dame. I'm just saying the risk reward behind him. In my eyes, it would be better to try Donovan Mitchell. He's younger with a better contract. If you're going to go that route and even in your mind think that if he doesn't work, then the better risk is Donovan Mitchell.
So let me ask you
That's
this,
all I'm saying
about Donovan Mitchell. Why would a playoff team trade their best young player, who's their franchise player, to a team for scrap parts?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think the Knicks can offer them stuff that they would want. And I really do think that. And I don't mean, see, the reason I say that, and I say that in the contents of Randall, because you got a piece that you can replace Randall with already. You use Randall and draft picks. You keep the core of the team. You have a better risk reward with Mitchell, a younger player, better contract, And if it doesn't work, you're not quite as bad off. Dame
I think
is a
you-
high risk with the age and the amount of the contract. And to
Yeah,
honestly
but why
believe that
would Utah
anybody
take
would take
10
his
steps
contract
backwards?
is not realistic. I'm
I-
just saying.
I-
Listen. I'm not with the trade for Dame. But if you're gonna go that route, at least look
Yeah,
at
but
it in a better. I mean, just have open eyes, open avenues in other ways also.
yeah, but
That's
why
all I'm
would
saying.
Utah take 10 steps backwards? That's just my thing. Why would they go backwards?
Yeah.
I
And
mean, do
so
you
say
believe
you say
taking
so,
draft picks is backwards?
yeah,
That's not backwards.
they are a title
If they get
contender.
a
Yeah, exactly. They're title contenders.
Yeah. Why
They
would
like
they
one piece.
is
They're one
Utah
piece
title.
away.
Okay, well,
yeah,
if you can't get him, then I just leave it alone. I'm not saying that that's a deal that's going to be made. I'm just saying it would be a more attractive
In
deal
my
to me.
opinion,
I
Utah
didn't
should be
say it was
calling
going to
Portland
definitely
to get
happen,
Dame with Donovan and
yes.
Gobert. They
Okay,
should be doing
so
that.
say
but
you
I
so
just don't.
say you don't do say you don't do the Dame Lillard trade. Say the Dame Lillard trade is not a possibility. You are okay with running it back with Randall and just adding another veteran point guard to a position that you already have 4 guys. Well, 5 guys if you count Jokovitis, but we don't know if he's coming or not. But you have 4 guys already trying to play that position on the roster. So you and listen, listen. I'm okay with it as long as if we get Ben Mathurin, I don't care who you bring back.
Well, the thing about it is in my
No, I
opinion,
believe Randall is movable.
I don't see us
Go
having
ahead.
4 guys fighting for that point guard spot because I think pretty much everybody here knows Kemba's not going to be back. In some way or form, the Knicks are not going to have him on the roster next year. If we're looking at it from a perspective of you have IQ playing some point, yes, but we know he's not a point guard. You have technically and essentially just Derrick Rose and McBride here right now. Because like you pointed out, Rokas, there's no even guarantee that he's coming over.
He didn't guarantee to be
So
coming.
technically you have 2 point guards. If you have 3, including Kemba right now, but next season I don't see him being on the team. So you really have 2 point guards going into the offseason.
Right.
And none of this works if Tibbs don't make it work. That's the main thing. Plain and simple. Can Tibbs do this? Either way, rebuilding or with Dame. And that's a question none of us know.
Can I say something about the trade? Traded for Lillard, and then if it's not working, trading him to someone else. I feel like if Lillard was younger, it could work because it worked. It worked for OKC. By trading for Paul George, it didn't work. Then they were able to trade him to the Clippers for a massive haul, more than what they gave up to get him.
Right.
But he's not
SGA
he's not that young. You know what I mean? Like
that's
who did OKC give up to get Paul George? Victor Oladipo, Sabonis.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure who else. Maybe some picks.
Yeah, definitely picks. 2 or 3 of them.
Right, but it didn't work out in OKC, so they flipped them to the Clippers, and they got a young asset, an SGA, 5 first-round picks, and 5 pick swaps. But Paul George is not 30-something years old.
Yeah, he was younger. That's the only downfall that I feel on this Freezie. It's the age. That's the only thing that I feel that's holding it back. His age. If he wasn't 30 some odd years old, this would work perfectly.
Okay.
And also too with Dame is that probably at his age that we keep talking about it, he wants championship aspirations, and I don't think this team is nowhere near that.
Right.
Right.
No, I can see that.
And as you said also, Freezie, you also said guaranteed. Are we guaranteed that the young guys are going to develop? Are we guaranteed this and are we guaranteed that? Well, are we guaranteed that Dame's going to hold up physically?
See, that's not fair.
I mean, it is at his age. At his age, it is, Freezie.
It's a fair question to ask, but if you can say that based off of his career, Dame's really only been hurt last year. You could say that.
Yeah.
How do and so the reason why I said it's not fair is how you gonna ask me that? And on our roster, we had Quentin Grimes and Cam Reddish hurt, and both are under 23.
I know it. I mean, injuries they don't have no they
happen
can
to
affect
everybody. They happen to
Yeah.
everybody, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said it wasn't fair.
Exactly.
Not that injuries
Well,
you only. I'm not saying that injuries aren't a part of the game for guys that get older. What I'm saying is, everybody that plays the game gets hurt, bro. That's part of the game.
Oh yeah, I just brought it up because of the statement of you saying the guarantee. There's no guarantee on either side.
Yeah. And I think Dame's injury came from too much basketball. I think since he played the whole year pretty much from the season, then he went to the Olympics. I think that was more wear and tear. He needed to sit down.
Wait, Kendall, did you just say Dame got hurt from playing too much basketball? Because when he comes here.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna be
Well, I was just saying,
he's gonna get hurt again.
Good point.
Tim's gonna play him 48 minutes a game, is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm not even thinking that he'll get hurt, Freezie. I'm not thinking that. I'm just saying there's a chance.
So, Mr. Marvin, you didn't
year-old.
answer the question. I asked you a question. I asked it twice.
What was it?
The question was, if you don't trade for Damian Lillard, the alternative is Julius Randle. Are you okay with running it back, a team led by Julius Randle?
No, and I was finished. I was going to address
it. You told me that Randle was expendable, but you didn't tell me if you were okay with running it back with Randle.
No, I do not believe in running it back. I don't believe running the same thing back would be feasible. I believe you have to make some kind of shakeup, but it doesn't have to be astronomical. I believe you can. And when I say Randle is expendable, he is a valuable piece that you can get pieces back for. And then you add on from the draft.
So we have a guy right now on the roster that can put that will produce to fill in the gap for Julius Randle's production.
I believe Obi could partially do that. And then you get things back for Randle also to help Obi out and use the draft. There's ways. And I think that's not blowing. The reason I'm saying this, Freezie, is because that's not drastically blowing the franchise completely out of the water. You gradually, it's almost like in a slow build, you gradually get a little better. If you can build on last year's success, I wouldn't say per se this year, but last year's success, then you are accomplishing something. There's no guarantee on either side that we're going to get so much better if we get Dame or if we try to rebuild. And that's an honest, true statement.
So here's my thing to that what you just said. What I would do, and this is my immediate fix, I would trade Mitchell Robinson and Alec Burks to the Charlotte Hornets for Kai Jones and James Bouknight. That's my immediate fix.
Goodness.
Do you get better? Question.
I can answer that easily.
It depends on how you feel about James Bouknight. How do you feel about James Bouknight?
We're talking about two guys right there who have barely played in the league.
That's what I'm saying. See, the trades you offer have to make you get better, Freezie. They have to be sensible trades that make you get better.
I want to spit something to Marvin, right? Marvin, none of us know whether guys are going to be able to play in the NBA or be injury free, or young guys. None of us know that. It's all projections and potentials, right, and we invest in that, right? But you have to look, right? You've watched the NBA for a very long time, I'm sure, right? You notice that within championship dynasties, there is pedigrees, there is formulas that work for success. Would you agree to that? Okay, good.
Yes, I would.
So therefore, so now, right? Do you feel that our Knicks organization is using that template, that formula, that equation that will equate for us having sustainable, championship caliber aspirations and all that? Do you think that that's being implemented right now?
I believe that is to be seen. Development is not always 1 to 2 years. It might take.
No, of course not. No, we know that for many cases. But what is one thing that you need? What is the one thing that you need in order for the gears to start moving?
Well, it's obvious. And it's been obvious to everybody for the longest. A true point guard. You have to at least start with that first. And if you could start with a true point guard, then you would know how much. See, because a lot of the games that were lost were due to leadership down the stretch, which leads to a true point guard.
But
So if you
there's
start
teams
there,
that have been on dynasty runs that didn't have a true point guard.
it's not very many that won a lot of championships without a true point guard.
Well, define what a true point guard is.
One who controls the offense, the momentum, and gets his teammates truly involved, who makes his other teammates better.
There's more
Okay, so wait, hold on.
teams. There's more teams that won championships with point guards. What you need, because we go through it. Because listen, Mario Chalmers was out there when he got in the postseason. He was unstoppable in the postseason.
Him and Norris Cole,
because what you needed him to do. So yeah, man, point guard is not.
It's not even that. Chicago Bulls, Golden State Warriors. They haven't had true point guards.
Okay, but wait a minute. Okay, well I'm going to ask all you guys. You guys think you okay without a true point guard? You guys think you okay without a true point guard?
As long as I have a dynamic perimeter player that can create for himself and create for others, it doesn't matter.
There you go.
So the Halliburton miss wasn't loud in New York.
The Halliburton miss was detrimental because we don't have that player. The only thing the discussion about, we definitely need that player on the team with Julius and RJ as our key players on the perimeter because they don't create for other guys the way they should.
And what is Halliburton?
Halliburton,
he could play both. Actually, he could play off and he could play on the ball.
Right.
Same thing as Donovan Mitchell, if that's the case, right?
Hey, so
yes.
No.
If Donovan Mitchell was on the Knicks, we wouldn't need a point guard. I just want to make sure we're saying the same thing.
So before y'all read Paris Duggar super chat, I gotta handle some business, so I'm gonna slide out. Y'all be easy, peace and blessings.
All right, Sam. Take care, bro.
Take care, man. Yeah, guys, I'm not knocking the case. All I'm saying is, truthfully and honestly, and that's to each one of the guys on the panel, what is the major piece that you guys think that are missing on the Knicks? And I want to go from center to power forward to small forward to shooting guard to point guard.
Forget all that. What we're missing is a truly dynamic perimeter player that could change the phase of the game on a daily basis and the organization in the future.
Right. And you could give him the ball, and you could give him the ball the last 4 minutes of the game and get the hell out the way.
Right.
Yeah.
So regardless, it doesn't have. It could be a center, it could be a point guard, it could be a power forward. That's the way you guys feel.
Yep.
Now you didn't see games down the stretch where a point guard was dearly needed.
Well, on this team,
if you're going to keep going to the floor,
in this team, you're saying
on all
in this New York Knicks team, but there's some teams that don't have a prototypical point guard. But there's NBA teams that don't. But you said point guard.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't move the needle. You don't get to move the needle.
Okay.
Yeah, you said point guard. Stay there.
And so this
I'm
team,
just asking,
so Marvin, this team needs a point guard because we don't have a dynamic wing player such and such. So we have to take ordinary pieces and run an excellent system to highlight the strengths and weaknesses of average to above average players. Now, if we didn't have, like for instance, if you have Michael Jordan, what do you need a point guard for?
Well, I understand.
If you have Kawhi Leonard, what do you need? If you have Kevin Durant, do you really need a point guard? Now he's played with great point guards his whole life or his whole NBA career, right? But does Kevin Durant need a point guard?
No, but there are points in time in every NBA game where a point guard is very important, guys. You all know that.
But that's important. That's the same thing for every position, though, Mr. Marvin. That's what I'm saying. What I'm getting at is this, right? So to D Poetic's point, if you had that dynamic wing player, because we're in a two-phased era, right? So we're in a golden age of pick and roll, and we're in a golden age of dynamic wing players at the same time, right? At the same time, we're in like two things all right at the same time. And so in this golden age of pick and roll and golden age of wing player, a byproduct of this is 3-point shooting, right? A byproduct of this is 3-point shooting, because if your defense is forced to double team the pick and roll, that means you have a wide open 3-point shooter somewhere on the floor. And that's what you look to create by running the pick and roll. You attack the basket. Basically, the pick and roll looks to create a 2-on-1 with a full head of steam going towards the basket. The drop man has to pick one guy, and the other guy, in theory, should have a shot at the rim. In theory. Now, if you double team it by bringing a perimeter defender over to close the gap to crash the paint, then the corner guy should be open. In theory, right? Just saying, just on the chalkboard, that's the way it should be, right? But the Knicks have none of these. So the Knicks don't have a dominant pick and roll handler. We don't have a big that can catch the ball and threaten the basket with one dribble, or catch the ball in traffic and finish. We don't have a knockdown 3-point shooter that shows up consistently. I know Evan Fournier is shooting 40% from 3. I know he made a lot of threes, but Evan Fournier is the 4 for 7, 0 for 7 guy, right? And y'all seen it this year. Evan Fournier is some games he's 4 for 7, other games he's 1 for 7, but he's never 3 for 7, 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 3 for 7. He's not that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
not
consistent.
Klay Thompson or somebody like that who you fear he's on the scouting report, right? And neither is RJ Barrett. So that's the reason why. To what D Poetic was saying, he said one thing: the dynamic wing player is one part. I mentioned an elite pick and roll ball handler in Damian Lillard, right?
Yeah.
That was another part to it. Right now, the Knicks don't have either, right?
Yeah.
To say which part is the most important right now is kind of
all of it.
Yeah. For one, you don't have a guy that's going to set a solid screen and threaten the basket in the pick and roll, because Sims can set the screen, but he's not at the phase yet where he can threaten the rim. Like he's not a threat yet on that end of the pick and roll. And then the handler, you're talking about Alec Burks, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly. They're not really threats in the pick and roll in terms of getting all the way to the basket and threatening the rim, or they're not the threat of getting behind that screen if they go under and knocking down that 3 at a deadly percentage yet. You know what I'm saying? So to say which position is the most important right now, the Knicks should be in an asset acquisition mode.
Yep.
Yes, and I understand.
Top to bottom.
I want to put two. I want to put 2 points to that, though. I just want to give you guys 2 points. First of all, the difference that I've seen. I'm gonna start in Chicago. The beginning of the year, they had Alonzo Ball. We had Alonzo Ball. We ranked 4th in offense, 5th in defense. As soon as he got hurt, the offense actually still ran pretty good because of Ayo. But you could see and you could tell the difference that point guard wasn't there. The second point I want to come to you with is this. Do you think that this offense has ran better, and this is going to probably blow you guys' mind, without Effort Payton, who's a point guard, this year than it did last year?
So I'll answer his question with this. Look at the Denver Nuggets, right? They have Jokic, right? And pretty much even when Jamal Murray's there and Michael Porter Jr., he pretty much runs the engine of that offense. Yep. Jamal Murray is a higher dynamic perimeter player, right? That helps Jokic along the way when the offense is being set up. So here's my point. Don't put it in a box that it has to be a point guard. It could be a center, it could be a power forward, it could be a small forward, and your shooting guard as well. But the thing is that you
without Murray on Denver, you can go look at your stats right now and look at the difference in wins and losses on Denver from that year when he played and this year. And it's
that argument goes both ways, because without Jokic, it would be the same story. But the difference between Murray and Jokic is that Jokic can run your team.
Well, you need them both, just like Freezie says. Now, I understand that we need them both, but without one or the other, it's not going to work properly. So I feel that to
Yeah,
address
you're making
the
a
issue,
point.
Yeah.
yeah,
You
to
just made a
address the
point.
issue. Yeah, but I'm just saying to address the issue, you have to start with point. I mean, okay. If you guys feel you don't need a point guard, then fine.
No, he's trying
No,
to.
that's
Yes.
not what I said. That's not what I said. I said we should
Well,
be
you saying you can get away with it if you had a dynamic wing or a dynamic this or that. You probably
that's
could.
Yeah, because if
what I'm
RJ
saying
had
is
like
that
a ball handler, he was an elite ball handler, we would have like a different discussion.
Actually, the way RJ has been playing the
acquisition,
last month has shown us we haven't needed a point guard. In fact, we needed somebody to get out the way and stand around and shoot. And so RJ has had periods this
So
year
Deuce
where he said,
McBride is expendable. That's what you guys said.
not expendable.
No.
In fact, I like Deuce better with RJ because Deuce has the potential to stand around and not need the ball and hit open 3-pointers, and then he'll turn around and play D at a high level. You can get a 3 and D point guard next to an elite ball handler.
Right.
Well, I agree with that. Now, but I want to go to Freezie's point. He's looking to get Dame for what reason? Are you getting Dame because of his scoring or because of his floor general?
And as he said it 3 times this morning, he said we want to get Dame to make RJ that much better, to show RJ how to. I know Freezie. He says it without saying it. What he's saying is he's tired of having Julius Randle around RJ. He wants another type of player around RJ so that RJ could be as great. He is a barrier. He's admitted that 2 years ago.
right. And listen to the point that D Poet and D. Go ahead. As a matter of fact, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Just real quick, and then you got it. That also too, like you also have to define exactly in today's game what a point guard is. So I'll show you a perfect example because you're a Bulls fan. Lonzo Ball is a point guard in today's NBA.
True.
You know why? Because he initiates your offense.
Right.
He can't break it down. His pick and roll game is right. He could spread the floor a bit and he plays stellar defense. Right, but he's your initiator. You see, so that's probably why you guys might be having a couple of issues with certain things, and also you guys have bad interior defense as well, and you guys lose the rebound game almost every night. So that really plays a big part into it. Don't get that twisted. But I don't want you to see it. I don't want you to see it so high as to that if a point guard comes and he can initiate the offense, all the worries on this team is done. That's not the case because we still have to worry about guys being able to create their own shots. And then we still have to worry about guys being able to create their own shots. And then when they draw the attention, being able to play make for others as well, or do it as a team. So there's a lot of things that come into building a solid roster.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a combined effort of every position. I do know that, but there's I mean, it's just a known fact that point guards are critical to the success of an NBA team, and I believe we all can agree on that. And I'm not saying that power forwards are not. I'm not saying centers are not, but it is true. I mean, I'm just stating this because I believe I didn't heard. I'm sorry?
In 1995, you're 100% accurate. The only problem is I want to offer you into the transition of LeBron James and a few other guys before him. But once LeBron James came into the NBA, how teams approach the game, everything has changed. Everything changed so that the need for that true point guard, it's just not there anymore in today's game.
Okay, question. Do you guys think that Phoenix propelled their game to a large higher level when they got Chris Paul?
Of course, but they already had guys that could create their own shots and create for others.
And I didn't say you didn't need the other pieces around him. I never said that, but I'm just
no. But when I'm saying that one precedes the other. Yeah. You need that guy that can put the ball in the bucket and make others better first. Then you bring in that. Then you bring in the other things because there's no point in having a whole bunch of guys that can initiate the offense, but nobody can go ahead and get their own damn bucket.
Right. So the question to you is this: with a good point guard with the current roster that you have, would it make the team a lot better?
Well, let me answer. Let me do this real quick. Patrick Ducker, thank you for the generous contribution. He says, "Trust with your eyes. Charlotte beat the Nets last night. Our youth dominated them healthy. Sims made Ben in Miami look small. Oh, Bam in Miami look small. I'm sorry. Grimes showed RJ to hit Butler back. McBride quickly tandem is real. Trust this, right?
That's point guard.
And to the point, you said a good point guard make the Knicks a lot better.
Any team, not just the Knicks, any team.
The Suns are almost undefeated since has gone down. Since Chris Paul's gone down, the Suns are almost undefeated.
Well,
the Grizzlies are 16-2 without Ja Morant this year.
Yeah, so that.
Now, come on, guys. You know, a quick fix is just that, but a long-term thing. A long-term thing is exactly what it is. Now we all
don't pay us no mind. We just use stats. We just use stats.
Well, I understand that. Listen, if you're gonna bring that up, the Bulls played well without Lonzo Ball, but it was not evident that we didn't miss him.
But what we're saying is, if you go to those teams and show why they're winning, because the way, oh my goodness, DeRozan is playing, the way Booker started playing,
yeah.
Dynamic perimeter.
I believe I understand everything you guys are saying. I'm just saying the long-term fix to me is to have that stable point guard. And I mean, you know, I understand you can get by with it with a point forward or anything else.
No.
But in the long-term run, I believe that point guard is needed.
Are you you're a Bulls fan, right? I apologize. Let me just jump in real quick. You're a Bulls fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bulls had two in their dynasty run. They had two dynamic wing players, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan. Was their point guard a dynamic point guard? Was B.J. Armstrong dynamic? Was Steve Kerr dynamic?
But you're talking about two generational players.
They were able to knock down shots that are wide.
You're talking about Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, generational players.
Bro, we're talking about
Golden State. Let's talk about Golden State.
What is Devin Booker? Devin Booker is a bum.
Never heard of him.
He's a dynamic wing player. Like, see,
you say you never heard of him.
What we're not going to do is play.
I'm a Knicks fan, man. I mean,
look, guys. I'm not knocking the fact of what you guys are saying. But if you feel that a point guard is not the most important thing on the team, then that's fine. I just feel like they are, and I'm not saying a top-notch point guard. I'm just saying a point guard that can facilitate the offense, that can control and run the offense. I mean,
So let me answer your question.
How many ups and downs how many questions have you had about is quickly this point guard? But then a lot of people like McBride. I mean, the question wouldn't be arising if the point guard wasn't needed. I really believe that.
I'll answer your question, right? You asked the question of that if we had a point guard on this team that initiates the offense, right, and is able to get guys in their places, right? What a point guard does, right? And with this roster, you asked would the roster be better, right? That was your question, right? So here's my answer to it. Yeah, of course it would. And we will probably make a first-round playoff berth. But we'll still have the same lingering issues of guys not being able to create their own shots and create for others to get us past to get to where we need to get to. And that's any organization.
Yeah, but that's not taken away from the fact that you needed that point guard. I'm not straightening the fact that you don't have everything else. I'm just saying you have to build from one step to the other. Just like in Freezie case, he wants Dame for not necessarily just because he's quote unquote a point guard, is that he can get other people involved. To get that player, you're either going to have it from a wing, from a center, from a point guard, or wherever position you get it from. You do want that dynamic player. If it's a guard, fine. If it's a forward, fine. But I'm just saying, without one or the other, it's rare in the NBA that team goes to great success.
But that's not what we're saying, Marvin. What we're saying is that one comes before two, and that you need one first. Now, if you get two before one, that's fine. But I'm saying that for success,
don't expect two's impact to be as great as it would be if you win an order.
Right. So you still need one first in order for it to be taken seriously and to build around that, because you have the guy on your team that can create for himself and can create for others.
So, question.
Hey, Ron, how you doing, man?
Man, hey, I'm good, man. I'm just enjoying the conversation,
in this draft,
man. Good to be in the
which
building.
Position do you think you guys are going to draft?
Wow. You know what I mean? Good to be in the building this morning,
in this upcoming draft,
Wait,
Which
royalty
position do
just
you
Yo,
like
think the
bro,
the
Knicks is
Celtics.
going to
Let's
look
go,
for?
bro.
somebody was talking. Somebody was talking. You gotta relax. Somebody was
Hi,
talking,
hi,
man.
Ron. How are you?
What's up? What's up, D's balling, man? What's up? Hey,
Well,
what's
good,
up,
bro.
everybody, man? Peace to the panel, man. Peace to the chat.
What's up, bro?
Rayology, what's going on with your partner? G, I see you, boy. I see you, boy. Hey, you can come out of the dark, boy. The Knicks finally doing something right. You heard me? You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean? Come
crazy.
to the
That's
light.
crazy that you can see him because none of us can.
Come to the light, man. I'm gonna tell y'all like this, man. Hey, you know this is what we've been calling for, man. A youth movement, man, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. That Miami game was the litmus test for me. You know what I mean? This Knicks team can play with any squad, man. These young fellas can play with any squad, man. I'm a proponent of keep building through the draft. Don't go chasing people, man. You build it, they will come. You know what I mean? Stop trying to go the other way around of chasing. Let us keep building this thing, man. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, Deuce McBride and IQ together, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I don't know if anybody noticed, but your boy Deuce McBride got the highest ever plus minus on the Knicks squad in the history of the Knicks. They talked about that yesterday. I don't know if y'all caught that. But the guy effect on the game, man, it's a beautiful thing. You watch this team, man. They just, whatever they do, just don't screw it up. Just keep building, man. Don't go for no quick fix, and definitely don't go for nobody in their 30s to try to bring here the topic. This person going to take us over the hump. You know, before all this season started, man, and like last year and stuff, I was a proponent for bringing Dame here. A lot of people know that. But looking at what I'm seeing with this team now, I want to continue to go with this youth movement, man, because that's what the league is at, man. If y'all been paying attention, people been paying attention, man. These old teams been getting run off the floor, man. And so far as when teams, I heard someone made a comment about, Phoenix winning without Chris Paul and the Memphis situation, but we got to look at it like this: when teams learn how to win, when a player comes out, a lot of times the ship keep moving. Why? Because they don't establish a culture of winning and how to win games. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. And don't go chasing. Don't go chasing. That's all I want to say, man. Don't go chasing no over the hill players, man.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Nah, don't
stick
go
to the
chasing that, man.
stick
Don't
to
go
the lakes
chasing
and
that.
rivers you used to.
But you know the crazy thing is, Freezie, is I say that, man, but I was looking at our projection of possibly getting the number one pick. I think this is 7% or something like that. So it's really a tricky offseason for this front office, man. Last season, this past season was the season for them to be able to just go all out and do what they had to do to make that thing better off coming off that that 4th seed. But this season, it's like they really at a crossroads. They got some decisions to make, and we all know the decisions. It's gonna be a tough one, man. And put some respect on Obi's name too, Freezie. Hey, go get your Obi tattoo. I told you you're gonna have to get it, boy. Hey, Obi want it, man. Obi want it.
Yeah, I'm not ready to. I'm not ready to do nothing Obi related, bro. Obi and nothing personal. It's not like I distrust. Like it's not like I dislike this kid. I'm not saying that, and I don't want people to get the intention that I dislike Obi Toppin, the player. My frustration is our first round pick outside of RJ Barrett and Kristaps Porzingis, right? Over these what seems like a billion years, only 2 players out of the first round that we've selected have turned out to be players. And Obi is in that group, right? And I know y'all gonna say, well, give Obi time, give Obi this, give Obi that. Obi needs a point guard. He only been in the league a year and a half. Obi 24, bro. Obi 24. When are we gonna stop making excuses for Obi Toppin, man?
So Freezer, I'm gonna tell you like this. I could take that argument if I hadn't seen what I've seen these last 3 games with that guy playing major minutes. I see somebody who's scoring without having a point guard. And even going back to the few games against, when Julius was out before, when we played Toronto, that man had, I think, 16 one game D's and 18 or something the next.
19, 6, and 6.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So he put in the work, man.
But Ron, that's what I'm
Obi's
saying.
effectiveness to this team would be even better with a point guard. We all know that. But it's
one game
refreshing
there. But at least
to see
for guys
players
like
him
RJ
and
Barrett,
Mitchell Robinson
we can point to averages
that can score without having a point guard when they clearly need one.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we point out one game here, one game there for Obi, but for Grimes, we could say Grimes averages such and such, and Grimes does this every game. And for Obi, who is 3 years older than most of these kids, we say, yeah, this such and such game he did good, that such and such game. And I'm not knocking Obi, man. What I'm saying is I would be on board with Obi if we got this stuff more consistently. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, I'm with you on that. But you know the consistency coming. Every ship don't take off at the same time neither.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, hey, what we seeing from that guy, we may as well enjoy it, man, because I think it's going to be more to come from him. He's starting to get real comfortable and starting to get confidence and comfortability and confidence in the player is a beautiful thing, especially when the coach start trusting you too. You know what I mean? So hey, shout out to the team, but all being said, man, Tibbs, and it ain't. I got to say something about him too, because he got up in that little press conference and trying to say this and that. I said I was gonna chill for a few days before I addressed Tom Thibodeau. You know what I mean? I was gonna make sure I had my ducks in a row. But he acting like he did something. We all know this thing happened by accident. Anybody that's a Knicks fan that been watching all these games, watching our team, they know this thing happened by accident because of injuries and COVID protocol. That's why a lot of these guys got playing time. If it wasn't for that, a lot of these guys wouldn't have been playing, and this losing streak would have still been going on big time. So Tibbs acting like he had this master plan, man. He need to stop, man. And anybody thinking he did, we had the master plan. We saw at these balling, how many games we saw that same lineup?
Which lineup?
The early on season when we were losing. When he finally decided to do something was because of necessity. How many games we ran with that same line? About 50?
That rotation was below 500.
Okay, exactly. So he don't need to be acting like he all of a sudden he came to the light and he had this big, I had this master plan on how I was going to use these young guys. Stop that, man. I ain't falling for that. I might have been born last night, but not at. I might have been born at night, but not last night. You know what I mean? And that's what I got to say about Tibbs, man. But shout out to the young fellas, man. I'm loving what they're doing, man. Keep playing them young fellas. Let's just keep building, man. Keep building.
So I disagree with you, bro.
Yo, what up, bro? What up?
You know how in the military, just about everybody come in at low rank and they have to earn their way to promotions and such.
Absolutely.
I think that's what the thing is with Tibbs, and I'm not trying to make excuses for Tibbs. What I'm saying is to your point, to Ron's point, like every ship don't take off at the same time. So to say generalize just because we get the rookies, don't mean the rookies are going to be great out the gate. You know what I'm saying? Every flower bloom in its own season. You know what I'm saying? It blooms at its own pace. So my belief is McBride wasn't ready early in the season. And my belief is Grimes did need to get acclimated. And my belief is Jericho Sims was in plastic wrap until all the centers got hurt. I didn't think they were going to play Jericho Sims early on. That's the reason why out of training camp, they offered him a 2-way deal as opposed to a guaranteed NBA contract. I don't believe that they wanted to play Jericho Sims that much early on, right? And what happened is injuries necessitated his ascension on the depth chart, right? And there's no harm. And
I'm glad you said that, Freezie, because you said a lot just to say exactly what I just said. It all was because of utter necessity. Injuries is what caused them guys to get on the floor, and I agree with that 100%.
Right. Well, for Jericho Sims, I'm saying the injuries. Now
Deuce
for
McBride too.
Well, okay. Well, what I was going to say is Grimes more likely than the others was going to get playing time sooner than the other two. The other two were second round picks, right? Second round picks don't just bust onto the scene. Even Jokic was a second round pick, and he didn't bust on the scene. It took him about a year and a quarter of him battling with Plumlee and Nurkic before they saw he was the best out of those three guys, right? And so I said that to say this. I don't know if Tibbs had a master plan. I don't want to give him credit or take away credit. What I will do though is say this. No rookie is just gonna come on the scene and take over. It's not the way the league is built. Jordan didn't do it, LeBron didn't do it, Magic didn't do it. They all needed a handful of games in order to get acclimated to the NBA game. And our rookies are no different. So the point of when they started playing and how long they didn't play, in my opinion, doesn't really bother me. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those deals where I'm just glad they're playing right now. Right? I'm glad we get to see what they have. And I'm glad to see that these guys like to play for each other. Right? You see, like when you see Quickly and Grimes and McBride, you see RJ and McBride, these young cats like to play for each other. Don't get it twisted. RJ Barrett is the youngest player on the team. Right? Just because these other guys are rookies don't necessarily mean that RJ is older than them. He's younger than them. All these guys are around the same. Grimes, McBride, Quickly, RJ. These guys are around the same age. So to see them want to play for each other is impressive. I'm just glad that we got the opportunity to watch them play. That's what I'm getting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But Freezie, my thing is, man, you know that term in the military we call blowing smoke.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what Tom Thibodeau was trying to do in that press conference, and I wasn't buying it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wasn't falling for that, man. Don't act like you figured something out, man, because I know better. I ain't stupid. I know what I've been watching the last 2 years with you, and I know your resume. You know what I mean? Your resume speaks for itself. Them guys weren't going to see the floor, man. And somebody brought up a good point. Sims would have never saw the floor if it wasn't for Nerlens Noel being hurt, Mitchell Robinson going out. You know what I mean? Because he was still,
Taj was hurt early.
This guy still was trying to chase a play-in and all that when it was clear that we weren't going nowhere. At the risk
still
of not
chasing
letting
it.
these guys get playing time, but it just so happened that injuries happened to Julius Randle and Mitch that got them guys to play them 3 games, man. So he don't need to be acting like he had this set at this point. He was going to let these guys play because that's a lie. That's a bullfish. That's all I'm saying, man. And I tell him to his face. You heard me?
Yeah. And I wanted to touch on that what Ryan was just talking about. The audacity of him to come on and act like this was a plan of his,
pumping his chest
when it was
up.
so obvious. Yeah, when it was so obvious that it wasn't, because he fought the fact of playing the young guys, is almost it's ridiculous. I mean, just the common fan would have seen that everybody asked for McBride to play. I mean, here's a prime example of it. Just recently, Randall got hurt, and now you're seeing more of a development of Obi Toppin. Was that a product of Tibbs? Did Tibbs plan that too? No, that was due to him.
Exactly. Even his homeboy Van Gundy called him out. Don't forget that one neither.
I was with you till you said Van Gundy. Van Gundy is a
Hey,
scumbag.
you better be with me. If you defend Tibbs on Van Gundy,
Van Gundy is a clown. I was with you until you said
Van Gundy was right with what he was saying about Tibbs.
Van Gundy got it.
Well, let me ask you this:
the roster was playing.
Van Gundy,
he was dead spot on.
Well, Freezie, let me ask you this:
You think
do you think he's been?
He got an axe to
on what
grind.
he was saying about Tibbs that one game?
Yeah, he got an axe to grind. He got an axe to grind against the Knicks.
Freezie, let me ask you this: do you think he's stunted the growth of Obi?
Yes.
No.
Yes, without question. Without question.
You don't?
Without question.
You think Randall has?
No, Randall's a basketball player.
Do you think Obi deserves time on the floor? Is what I'm asking.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm not for sure what the direct, because basically, ultimately, people's greatness starts within, right? Like, for instance, you remember Del Harris used to be the coach of the Lakers, the dude that looked like the Naked Gun. Remember the dude from the
Naked Gun?
Yeah,
Naked Gun. Yeah.
Yeah, people said Del Harris was in the way of Kobe Bryant, right? And Kobe Bryant was like, "No, he wasn't in the way. I just wasn't right." Kobe Bryant was right. Phil Jackson said Kobe Bryant worked harder than Michael Jordan at his craft than Michael Jordan. That's what Phil Jackson said, right? So you think Del Harris was in the way of Kobe? Nah, and I know that's an extreme.
Del Harris was in the way of the Lakers, not Kobe.
Del Harris was in his
whole
own
team.
way. Del Harris couldn't walk and chew bubble gum. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm referencing Obi and Randall.
What I'm getting at is if Obi was destined to be great, Julius Randle and Tom Thibodeau wouldn't be in his way, man. I mean, come on. I think we reaching there because Obi is our draft pick. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, Obi, because think about it, RJ Barrett is also a top 10 pick. And did Wayne Ellington and Reggie Bullock get in RJ Barrett's way?
No, RJ been playing. Obi hasn't.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, come on, man. We make too much. Did anybody get in Emmanuel Quickly's way? No. Come on, man.
So,
we make too many excuses for Obi.
Nah.
Let's just be fair.
I just want to say salute to the chat, by the way. You know, what up, Uncle Freezie?
What up, Ray?
Balling.
What's going on, guys?
Absolutely hilarious with ghetto intellect and his CDS. Sort of, I don't know if he's on the run or somebody with that shadow sort of image he got going on around Cleveland. What's up? I think causation and correlation are not the same thing. They're just not. And I think this season is a direct result of so many different things. You know, you could point to the front office and whatnot, but what we see product-wise on the floor is a direct result of Tom Thibodeau and his skill set and what he feels, is the right way to win, or, he wants to win. So I'm going to default and go here and do this. There are plenty of opportunities, especially and that's what makes his post-game pressure so frustrating, because he comes out and say stuff like, yeah, we didn't come out with energy, but you got energy on the bench. Oh, we didn't, do this, or we didn't do this, or we didn't hustle, or we weren't playing selfless. Guess who played selfless? You got it on the bench. So it's a little confusing and hypocritical to really hang on to a lot of the things he says, because you have opportunities, you have pockets of opportunities with players that provide the very thing you need, the philosophies you live and die by. And you sit here and you cling more to your vets to justify your good coaching and supposedly good coaching. Well, look at your record. And as Bill Parcells once said, you are what your record says you are. Period of the story. So if we're going off the merit of his, attributes and, accolades and all this stuff, Tom Thibodeau hasn't done a really good job. Now, for Obi, he's a top 10 pick. He's a top 10 talent. He changes the entire dynamic of your offense and how you're able to sort of run things the way you want to. And we've clearly seen that that's kind of how Tibbs wants to do things, not really so much the ISO ball and whatnot. But he's not held accountable. He doesn't hold himself accountable by consistently throwing Randall out there. And every time we have seen Obi go out there, Obi has produced. Like I've said in the chat before, Obi Toppin has only played 21 games, 15 minutes plus. Out of how many games he's played? 72 games. He's only played 21 games where he's played more than 15 minutes.
9 or 10 games were only 20 plus, too, by the way.
And the funny thing is in those games, he has averaged 12.4,
5.8
Production.
rebounds, 1.2
Production.
assists, and it's been a consistent positive 9.6 net rating. So something tells me there is something there. However, Tom Thibodeau is committed to his philosophy. He is committed to the commitment of, I believe this, and I'm going to live and die on this hill.
Ray, are those offensive stats you're saying?
Yes. If
Those
you want
are-
me to mention the defensive, net ratings as well, I can. I just didn't want to get too stat heavy without the context in place. And the context
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Because
I think context matters.
In fairness to the debate as a whole,
Sure.
you mentioned one side without the other.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's just been hypothetical.
Okay, there are defensive lapses I'd have to look up, but right now I don't have those screens up because I did want to speak about the Utah thing, but we went a different way. But I think there's a player and a necessity for this. I think everybody wants Obi to be Julius Randle, and that's not his game, and that's not who he is. And so that's why it becomes like, oh, Obi's a buzz, Obi's this. Obi's a completely different player that provides you something that you don't even have on the roster. His athleticism changes everything in your starting unit where you actually got to pay attention, because if you fall asleep, this man is in the air. This man is leaking out. This man is doing all the different things that your starters can't actually do. And you're regulating him to the bench because you think he's a bust. You think he can't do so and so. Oh, he can't take someone off the dribble.
He didn't show that in practice.
It's not his game, though. His game is to be able to draw defenders away from being able to double team somebody. I guarantee you, if you put Julius Randle and Obi Toppin on the floor, it would look completely different. But Tom Thibodeau is committed to his religion, rim protection. So he has to have a big guy there that clogs the paint and whatnot, and Julius Randle has to rely on being an efficient shooter, which he's not. Julius Randle is talented, but he's not a fit. He's just not a fit, and that's why you got to move off him, because what else are you going to do with him? You can't sign Mitch. I mean, for everybody that keeps talking about, oh, we got to re-sign Mitch, just keep something in mind. He has to agree. You waited too long to move him. You waited too long for the leverage and the power to be in your court, and now it's all in his court. He's got to show up to the table and say, I feel like playing on the tip system.
No, he don't have to show up to the table. Mitch don't have to show up to the Knicks table. The Knicks have 4 years to sign him.
No. But I think what I'm saying is that with Mitchell Robinson, you have lost all the leverage you have had, where you would have been able to hang on to him. Now he's going to take the best offer regardless. Even if it's $1 million more, he's taking that. We've lost Mitch. I can't see a scenario unless after June 20th, which is the date that he has to sign his, this market value offer. The most we can offer is $13 million. He has until June 20th. I guarantee you he's going to stretch this thing all throughout the summer. And who's going to give me the most money? And whoever gives him the most money, that's where he's going. $18 million, $19 million, $20 million. Somebody's going to pay for it.
They're going to throw him in the bag.
Somebody's going to give him that money. And if it's not going to be the Knicks because Brock Aller wants to be a discount cheapskate and, I'm trying to save pennies on the dollar and all of that, fine. But you will lose Mitchell Robinson. And I hope you got a backup. I hope Jericho Sims is ready because he doesn't even make $1 million.
Ray, you know what I was thinking? I'm thinking the Hawks are going to trade.
Good point.
Clint Capella and sign Mitchell Robinson. I had been thinking that for like 3 days. Yep.
Wow. I heard something about that, Freezie.
Yeah.
Anything's possible, but when you tie up his salary into what we got going, having to pay RJ, you're still trying to figure out Cam. I mean, I think it's a foregone conclusion, though a lot of people do hate this element of Zion coming through. Let's make one thing clear. He's not playing for the New Orleans Pelicans, and he's not looking at the Portland Trailblazers either. Either way, however you feel, the NBA is an entertainment business first. So the way I see it is this man's going to come through regardless of whatever fans want.
Not to mention he's represented by CAA, too.
Right.
And
So
plus
I have a
Buggy-
question, Ray, because
Yeah,
I don't know you. That's why. So I'm trying to find out, like, where you at with stuff.
Yeah.
So the way I understand it from what you were saying is that you're in for youth movement.
Yes.
Totally. And you're done with this administration, and you want to start it over. That's what I'm understanding from what you're saying.
Why is it that we struggle with rebuilding? It's something. I mean, Spike Lee spoke about this in 2002. Fans fans do not have a problem rebuilding, but we
If
keep
you
doing
tell the fan base
that recycling thing where we keep bringing in people who are
Yes,
again
yes.
stopgap.
Yeah,
That's it.
So
They're
the quote
stopgap.
Spike Lee said is the fan base would not have a problem with a rebuild if you tell them that you are rebuilding. That's what Spike Lee said. That's what Spike Lee said. But in our
100%
case, we don't ever tell a fan base that we're rebuilding. We don't ever tell them that, and we do it awkwardly, like how we're doing it this year.
Right.
So we bring in Antonio McDyess or we bring in Stephon Marbury, and it's on to the championship, and it's kind of like, but
the same thing.
they're not guys.
Steve
The pattern.
Francis.
Yeah, it's the same
And
pattern.
I don't get the cycle because I've been a fan since '91, so I've kind of walked and lived this thing just like many.
You lived for a good portion of it. You're good, bro.
9-1 boy. Hey, Ray, that's the year I graduated high school, boy. 9-1 was a good year, man.
Listen, I suggest Uncle Freezie, you find some kind of psychiatrist or a sponsor for this show that deals in therapy, because every single time we go through a season, we all need it. Find a sponsor.
Yeah.
Specifically, therapy for all of us, because we need it. Go ahead, G.
Let's get one in college, so then we don't have to pay them.
Hey guys, I want to clear the waters because I don't want this to be an issue that it's a Obi against Randall thing. I addressed the question to address Tibbs, and the only reason I did it is because when you see the development of Obi once Randall goes down, then you might think in your head, "Wow, we been seeing this?" And to the numbers that the distinguished gentleman just brought up, nobody can tell me that he didn't have a place or time to give Obi more minutes. I believe he could have.
Tibbs could have been doing this all season long. What he's doing now in the last 7 damn games.
That's all we saying. That's all we saying.
Hold on. We could have just seen this, and we would have been happy. We say at least the kids are getting burned. We could see what they are. No, let's wait till the 7 games a season, and he's pumping out his chest during press conferences. What are you doing? You could have been doing this all season long. We could have got maybe a few extra wins. Not saying we would have won out, but a few extra wins. See what the guys got.
So D'Angelo, what do you do with if you do that? What do you do with the vets?
Listen, you got to split up the minute. You're gonna have to split up the minutes. You're not winning. If they're winning with the same starter, if they're losing. So Team's got to pull me off and say, listen, I'm going to have to give more time to this so-and-so and this so-and-so. Keep the tools sharpened.
Right. Say you did it at game 30. Say if you did it at game 30, what do you do with Kemba and Derrick Rose and those guys?
I'm to hell with Kemba. I mean, he's been running around a wheelchair around the court.
I like
that one. So here's the thing, right? And Angel, you're bringing right to a point that I was just going to ask Ray, right? So I agree about what to do, right? But here's the issue: what we want and reality are two different things.
Yeah.
Right. And if you look at the salary cap, you look how some of the contracts are and stuff like that. We could be stuck here for a year or two with a good portion of this.
I gotta push back just a little because we have 24 draft picks. Okay, we have the 26th ranked payroll in the entire league. So the
you guys should be kidding me. Say that again, Ray. Hey, what'd you say that payroll is?
Our payroll ranked 26. I think it's $122.7 million. Like we don't have.
We're the 4th cheapest in the league, by the way.
That's the worst. Exactly. That's the worst thing.
Okay, so what I'm saying is we have 24 draft picks, 7 number 1s and 17 number 2s. You can do something. This has got to be about consolidation because what are you doing with all them draft picks? What are you doing with all them veterans? I don't know where you move them. I don't know how you move them or what you do with them. But This is a fact-finding mission, and this is what the rest of the season needs to be. This idea that we're going to get into the play-in is just utter nonsense. Like, that's not happening. We need to find out. We need to learn something. What did you guys learn in the Detroit game? Because I didn't learn a damn thing. What did you guys learn?
I saw regression. I saw regression back to what I saw all season.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that's my biggest problem with the Knicks right now. It's every game I need to learn something newer than I did before because I've been doing the same. We've been doing the same thing. And we're obviously where we're at because we're coaching the front office and we can do all this blame game. But right now is the time you need to go into fact-finding mission mode and you need to figure out what you have on your roster. You need to figure out what you're going into the next season, which is why I don't understand why the front office came out and said we're committing to Tibbs. Well, we still got games left over. It's
correct.
Boy, say that again because that was the first thing jumped in my head. How you getting a clear picture when the season ain't finished when you got to bring guys in and supposed to have an end of the season review on your work? Come on, man. Keep going.
So with a great point that you brought up, right? And you're right. We do have all those draft picks, and you're right. But my question to you is this: how many draft picks do we have this upcoming season? I mean, this upcoming draft. Sorry.
2. This one, I believe, we're not going to go to top 10. Apparently, we're number 12 right now.
No. I'm saying we have 1 first rounder. We have 1 second rounder. So we have 2. Right. So that's what I'm saying. That I agree with you, but you must understand too that it is going to probably be like this through a good portion of next year because all those assets you're talking about, right? And the things with these contracts are expiring won't be coming into effect to the second half next year. Yeah, right. And then the off season, then that starts coming into play. So what I'm saying is that I want to give you a parachute, right? Because I don't want you to jump out and not safely land, right? And just hold on because I agree with you. Look, listen, I would have done this in trading deadline. I would have gone rid of all of them and install interims of George Rosas and Bryant and have them do that and see how that would look and see what I have to do. They didn't do that. So
now you're cooking with hot grits.
Yeah. To be honest, nepotism is going to kill us because this idea of hook up my boy, I got to hook up my boy. These are my people and all that. Instead of getting qualified individuals to come through and work this thing, that's what's going to be problematic to our downfall. Oh, this is my guy from back in the day, and this is my guy. It's just like, kill the nepotism. We need to get functional, qualified individuals that know what they're doing. And get this whole, this is my boy, so he's going to fill a position. I got to get Brunson and Rick Brunson and Jay Brunson and all. Like, just stop. You need to get impact players. You need to get winning players. You need to get talent. Like, stop with all this, we got connections here, we got connections there. Build the foundation. The stars will come. Rebuild. Build it. They'll come.
Yeah, man. Build that thing, man. Build that thing, man.
And did you guys notice, to me, I thought I'd seen this, that Tibbs addressed the fans and the media about this situation after he got clarification that he was going to be brought in another year. Now remember, he hadn't said anything to the fans before they told him that he's going to keep his job.
Right. Yeah,
now,
so he's got
after he gets to the point that he's going to keep his job, then he addresses the media. Then now he comes and addresses the media. And listen to this, guys. Just yesterday, what you just say, Ron? He averts right back to the same thing again.
Yeah, I ain't stupid, man.
So after he gets clarification, he addresses the fans, and then he comes out the next game and goes back to his old ways.
So let's be real. He wouldn't have been saying nothing if we lost 3.
So
if we lost
we
3
do have
games.
a game tonight against Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So what are y'all thinking about tonight? So the Knicks have won 3 in a row, right? We beat Charlotte, we beat Miami, we beat Detroit.
Yeah.
So we have the Chicago Bulls tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So what are y'all thinking?
What's the lineup looking like? Who playing?
Is he gonna have the same starting lineup?
Who playing tonight for Chicago?
Do you guys think he's gonna run out the same lineup? Yeah.
Yes.
Is he gonna run out the same starting lineup?
Of course he is.
Of course.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah, we know that.
Yeah,
he's still thinking about the play. He's still thinking about the play.
I saw Randall.
Yep.
Almost lost it in the fourth quarter.
I'm gonna tell you
how many minutes does Obi get tonight?
So check this out, right? Against a young Detroit team, a young Detroit team, right? That likes to go up and down, right? Obi Toppin played 17 minutes yesterday. Miles McBride played 17. Jericho played about 19. And Emmanuel quickly, because obviously of his play lately, he was upgraded to 31, 32, somewhere there. So you might see something similar to that tonight.
I tell you what I expect.
Yesterday was the most disingenuous game.
And Randall played how many?
Was that right?
No, I was just saying that yesterday was the most disingenuous win I have ever watched in Knicks history. Just up until the point, like it was so fake. I'm sitting here with my wife.
It felt like a loss.
It did, Freezie. It did because you know why? Because we saw.
You did say that, Freezie.
Hustle.
You did say that, Freezie.
And then that game last night, I'm watching them guys. Them guys was playing tentative, like they just starting to play together. The way the ball was trying to move, I'm watching people pounding the ball. I'm like, dude, y'all ain't been playing like this for 3 games.
Right. How many assists did we have last night?
That's a good question. How many?
19.
Well, I stopped.
And we had that in the first again. Was the last team when Obi was starting?
That was against Charlotte. We had 15 in the first quarter or half or something like that. Yeah.
We had 15 in the half. It just that's why I asked the panel the question: what did you guys learn? And if it was the same thing that you knew all season long, then I got to start looking at Tibbs like you're not.
Well, we've been looking at Tibbs that way, so that's nothing new. But I mean, honestly, what we learned is the same thing that some of us have been saying for a long time now.
Yeah.
We want to see more Sims. We want to see more Obi. We want to see more McBride. Emmanuel quickly playing 30 is fine. Grimes was out with the knee. And it's funny because I have a note of the last game that in the second quarter, I caught him like harboring his knee a bit. And I was like, yo, why did we bring him back, bro?
I saw that. This guy was not even 70% ready to return. And we put him back in there. And I'm just sitting and thinking to myself, like, this guy shouldn't be playing. But also, to piggyback off that, people got to stop telling me that Obi is a bust. Stop telling me what he can't do and start telling me what he can. Okay, because obviously he can get points, he can get rebounds, he can do all the things that, again, no one else on this team does.
I even saw him get a block last night, too.
Say it again?
I even saw him get a block last night when people say he don't play no defense.
You get better with the minutes that you play out there.
Well, I don't want to go as far to, just throw out a blanket statement and say he can defend just because he got a block. Block, but it's because of the athleticism. It changes the entire style of how you play basketball. You got to be honest in your coverage. You can't just sit back and wait, act like Obi ain't going to do nothing if he's going to cut to the basket. You saw that play where I think Obi scored. He was cutting under the rim, and no, I'm sorry, that was the other way around. That was Marvin Bagley who cut behind Julius Randle, and he had a complete.
Oh man, I'm still looking for the police. So that looked like an assault with battery charge.
That's the drag. But they ran, but that's the drag play they run that always gets Jericho Sims. Teams run that against us, man. It's like the high low that teams used to run last year. That used to always get Kevin Knox. Remember the high low last year against Kevin Knox?
The back door was always open.
Yeah, and people was like, "Yo, what is Kevin Knox doing? Why he can't?" Yo, it's a play teams run. These coaches are smarter than what people think. They watch film and watch what guys lapse on
them tendencies and stuff, man.
Yeah, and they hide it. And then run the same. They disguise it and then run the same play. I mean, this
league is so different, man. Back in '95, you could run the same thing over and over and over and over again, and that works for Tom Thibodeau's system. I mean, Marvin can speak to this because he's a Bulls fan. But in this new, day and age of basketball, it's all about adjustments. That's what actually wins games. That's actually what wins championships. It's the
in-game adjustments.
In-game adjustments. If you're able to tweak something, if you're able to make something on the fly, that is just all the advantage you need in the matchup in order to get over another team, especially in a 7-game series where you're playing the same team, doing the same thing all the time.
And they know your playbook. By the time you get to the playoffs, the video guy has cut up all your offensive sets and given it to the coach. And the coach is going to look at it
while he's on the bus riding to the hotel. You know what I'm saying, or riding to wherever. And by the time he gets back to his team, he's gonna have a game plan because all the coaches are gonna sit in the room and watch that cut up and come back to the coaches meeting with a strategy. Like we're gonna take advantage. Like they're gonna say when Sims comes on the floor, we're gonna run the drag play. Except we won't start the drag play from corner to corner. What we'll do is start a guy at the top, let him run the L, and then another guy run parallel, and force Sims to pick a guy. Whoever he picks, we're gonna throw the ball to the other guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but that's why Atlanta crushed us in that series, man.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We didn't make no adjustments from game to game and that thing until it was obvious that the Knicks were gone, that we were done.
We are almost dead last in pace. That tells you that there's no athleticism on the floor. Guys can't get up and run. And every time you get the selective version of Julius Randle when he feels like it. Let's just make sure we're all clear. When he feels like it, that's selective nonsense that he does where, Sabonis gets a thing and now he wants to run back because he's got some kind of...
And Durant and Giannis.
Durant or someone that's in his face. It's like,
if it's an average power forward or below, he ain't feel like playing against them.
Marvin Bagley's farther than him, and he felt the need to bring the ball up. It was just, get on the block and manhandle Marvin Bagley. Why are we trying to go mano with Marvin Bagley? Like,
Bags outplayed him last night.
Yeah, when basic big man defense shuts that down.
Yeah, and I want to say this too, guys. I want to say this too, guys.
Sure,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
when Tibbs was in Chicago, guys, one thing that we really addressed, it never really came out, but to me, he never held himself accountable. Even in the Rose issue, guys, I don't know if you guys knew it, but Rose blew his knee out.
Still does it.
He blew it. Yeah, well, that's what I'm getting to. Rose blew his knee out, guys. He blew his knee out, and it was due to Tibbs just running him in the ground. He's never been the same since, guys. Tibbs never held himself accountable to that. Now, I'm going to ask you guys, have you guys ever seen one of his press conferences after a loss and him say, I could have did a better job? He never said
never.
That. He says, we need to do this. We need to do this. He never says, I could have made better adjustments. I could have did this. Now, I'm not saying that's a fault, guys, but that's an issue. Because if a coach never feels he's doing anything wrong,
I'm gonna tell you, it is
go ahead.
a fault.
Wait, before you go there. Damn. All right, go ahead.
Now I'll kick it right back to you. But it is a fault, man, because you as a coach, you're not gonna always get everything right, man. But if you give that L and that stand like you know what you're doing and you never wrong, you don't listen to your assistant coaches. You got coaches leaving this team faster than food stamps getting handed out. You know what I mean? It's a problem. It's a problem, man.
Yeah.
There's a reason why
I just wanted to bring it up.
That guy.
Well, to take it a step further, there's an article. There's an article that was like a couple of years ago written of Tibbs and his step-by-step process of how his coaching tenures get destroyed, and we're actually in phase 3 right now. If you read the article,
yep.
So check that out and see what y'all think about that.
I wanted to bring that up simply, really to address it to Freezie, because I'm not saying Freezie's a Tibbs man, but sometimes I feel that a lot of the fans feel that Freezie taking up for Tibbs. Well, I don't take up for Tibbs. I went through 4 years of Tibbs, guys, and I know what Tibbs is capable of doing, and I know how he sugarcoats it, and he kind of make it seem like, well, it really wasn't me. The guys wasn't hustling. The guys didn't do this. The guys didn't do that. Well, and in turn, sometimes he don't make the right coaching adjustments. Sometimes he don't call the timeout at the right time. It's not hard to critique your own self as a coach and say, man, maybe I could have did a little better. And if you don't do that, to me, it shows that you're not giving full responsibility of what happened game by game, and you kind of throwing the blame somewhere else. And it's not always the case, because it's not always the coach and it's not always the player. It could be a combination.
I'm an older NBA fan, right? So Ray, I'm an older NBA fan, right? And I know the Chicago Bulls franchise ain't worth diddly poo without the Michael Jordan era.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Chicago Bulls, bro. Chicago Bulls wasn't nothing in the 70s. Bob Love,
understand
maybe some
that.
Jerry Sloan. You know what I'm saying? Early
Yeah.
80s.
My boys, I know
They
you're talking about. I know
wasn't
you're talking about.
nothing. They wasn't nothing. That's why they got Michael Jordan, because they sucked. That's why they had the number 3 pick in the draft. Right? I'm not knocking Marvin now, because listen, me and Mr. Marvin are very cool. I love talking with him. Right? But when it comes to these other franchises and how they say things about their franchise and we say things about our franchise, let's not get this thing twisted, right? The Bulls got 2 top 3 picks that changed the course of their history. They got Derrick Rose with the number 1 pick, and they earned it. Trust me, when they got the number 1 pick, they earned that number 1 pick. Because they had top picks before. Remember, they drafted guys in the top 5 like Eddie Curry, Tyson Chandler. They had.
Don't bring it up, Freezie.
They were
Tyrese Thomas.
Don't bring it up, Freezie.
Marcus Fizer, come on, man. And so what I'm getting at is
bad draft picks.
The Bulls.
Jay Williams. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh man,
exactly.
That was a disappointment, man.
And so the point I was getting at with the Bulls is unlike the Knicks, the Knicks don't get lucky to get a Michael Jordan or get the number 1 pick, right? We have to grind our way through these seasons by making a lot of mistakes and by swinging and missing in the draft a lot, right? A lot of franchises go through this thing. This is not just a Knicks thing. This is an NBA thing, right? The Bulls got lucky that Portland understood they were entering into a golden age of big men. They understood that Portland was ahead of the curve when they took Sam Bowie. Now, Sam Bowie didn't work out, right? But they knew big men was going to be the wave of the future for the next 15 years. That's why they took a chance on a big that can do all the things that Olajuwon could do and shoot the 3.
Even before that, Bill Walton.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's what I'm saying. So the thing is what I'm getting at is the Bulls are fortunate, right? The Bulls are fortunate that they had a Phil Jackson come in and take them to that next level, right? And then they were fortunate that they had a Tibbs. Some Bulls fans like SB Sports. SB Sports Talk. He's a Chicago, a friend of ours, a friend of the show, a friend of Knicks Universe. He speaks about Tibbs with disdain. But then when you point out all the other coaches that they had, the Tim Floyds, the Vinny Del Negros, what's the dude that couldn't wear a tie because he had a neck issue. Fred Hoiberg.
Yeah, Hoiberg.
Yeah, all these guys.
And they had Dan Quinn too. I mean, not Dan Quinn, the Quinn guy over there in Minnesota. Was it Minnesota or Denver? The coach that he was with Chicago too, Quinn, the Quinn guy.
They had Doug Collins.
We had Scott Skiles. We had quite a few coaches. But now remember, we had no rosters at the time too, and without a fortunate pick like Jordan, and Rose, just not gonna get nowhere. Now I'm not taking away from Tibbs' accolades with the Bulls because he brought us way up.
Because the Bulls were a grease fire before Tibbs.
He brought us way up.
I'm not saying that Tibbs was a great NBA coach then. What I'm saying is he was an organizer and a preparer.
Yeah.
And that's what we should expect from this Knicks team. This dude is going to be an organizer and a preparer. Now, is he going to be an elite offensive mind like Brad Stevens? No, of course not.
Nope.
Of course not, because that's not his deal. Tibbs' thing is organization and preparation.
Template.
Yeah. That's why when you get in the games and other coaches have adjustments and Tibbs don't, it's not his fault. We can't blame Tibbs for not being the chess master in game because his strength is preparation before the game.
Freezie now.
I'm not blaming him for that. I'm just saying holding himself accountable. I'm just saying why don't he hold himself accountable? That's all I'm asking.
And so to Ron's point, though, Ron, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying about making adjustments in game. What I'm saying is, if he gets outfoxed in a game, I'm not mad at Tibbs because I know that's not his strength. I know his strength is preparation and organization.
So, Freezie, let me ask you this. I'm glad you said that. So my thing is, what are you going to do? Is that the type of coach you want on this team long term?
No,
because how are you going to
No.
win games? Think about it now. When you get to the playoffs, what are the playoffs all about?
adjustments.
Okay.
But Ron, but what I'm saying is before Tibbs, you didn't have organization and preparation. You had dudes,
I agree.
You had dudes that wrote together on a whiteboard with seconds left in the game.
I agree, but you know what?
Before Tibbs, you had a dude. What's the play coach? He wrote the word together on a nationally televised ABC game against your all-time rival with cameras looking in the huddle. He wrote
But
the
you
word
know,
together.
but you know what, though, Freezie, man, I'm gonna tell you, the blueprint was told us, man, by Golf Foreman and Paxson, man. When them guys started having a problem with Tibbs, man, because I was like, man, just on face value, I'm like, man, they winning. What they got a problem with? But when reports coming out, guys getting ran in the ground, man, and guys getting worked hard in practice, like it's a game and all this, he ain't letting up. Hey, it's something to that, man. And at some point, you can't keep living in the past with Tibbs, man. It's about the here and now. And Tibbs is refusing to move on with the new style of game. He's still stuck. He's still stuck.
But I'm not disputing that. I'm actually that's what I'm telling you. Like Tibbs is flawed.
And that's why he got to go.
Do you think Freezie that he's the right coach for this team moving forward?
There you go. That's the question.
So what I'm saying, so moving forward is two different things. Are you talking about moving forward into next season? Or are you talking about
season hell, as long as he's going to be this coach? Do you think that this guy is going to be the one that's going to get us to the promised land with the building with this team?
Nope.
Well,
Yes,
for those that read like historic books, Moses didn't get his people to the promised land either.
No, okay. Well, what could you say? But you think that he's the right
Moses is not the coach, Freezie.
Moses wasn't the most high. It wasn't.
So let me ask you. Okay, so how about this one, Freeze? Right, because Angel brought up a good thing. Let me refine it a little bit, Angel.
Yeah.
Would you have signed Tibbs 5 years knowing that he's just an organizer and a preparer?
Great question.
Me, he asked me.
Yeah. Well, you were where were you? Yeah.
That's a tough question, man. Because and so I'll answer the best way I can without sounding like I'm trying to not answer the question.
No, that's all good.
So at the time, coming out of a coaching debacle, the Knicks needed organization and preparation at the head coaching position.
No,
right? Because Mike Miller ran the same horns play about 40 times per game because it was the safest play. And he had a stat that he could point to and say, hey, we were the best at scoring points in the paint during my tenure. But what about everything else? What about the development of RJ Barrett?
No, he's a lifetime assistant coach.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the dude before him looked at the other team's offense and tried to run that end game without practicing. So Kevin Knox is running around like lost, and he yelling at Kevin Knox like, "Why aren't you prepared?" Well, hello, I'm a rookie, and these offenses. You want me to learn every team's offense on? The dude is a clown. You notice, and D'Angelo, you notice when Fizdale took his behind to the Lakers. You see what happened to the Lakers, right?
Yeah, disaster.
Fizdale signed with the Lakers this year, and look at the Lakers.
I told my brother-in-law that would happen with that.
So did you sign him for 5? Because if you know that he's just a great preparer, right, and he's a great organizer, right, and you said to yourself that his in-game adjustment is where it's lacking, we know that we can't go somewhere far with that because even if we do make a playoff berth and get to the first round or second round, we know that he's going to be handicapped by not doing the thing that you need your coach to do in the playoffs.
His ceiling, in my
that is front
right now,
office.
is a first round exit coach. That's his ceiling, in my opinion.
100% agree.
Okay,
with that said, hold on, let me finish. Let me answer this question. So with that said, the 5-year thing. Now I think Tibbs is valuable.
Okay,
just not as the head coach.
Right? Okay, no problem.
So what I would do at the end of this season, I move Tom Thibodeau off the
put him in the office.
Yep, move him upstairs because what Tibbs does do is prepare well. And if you have a a talented young coach with high upside, Tibbs would be a great mentor for him, understanding that there will be a balance. Like this young coach gets to do the things that he wants, but Tibbs gets to mentor him and not be his boss, and not
telling him what to run,
but mentor him.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tibbs can't. If Tibbs is telling that young coach what to do, you may as well have Tibbs on the bench.
Might as well.
Exactly.
So
I want to say this, Freezie.
So to not dodge your question, I wanted to say all these things.
You answered it.
People get okay.
No, you got you. Answer.
That's cool.
So Deez, I'm gonna tell you, you made a good point. When you look at this situation, man, this was the funny thing is that really we had all the power because ain't nobody was knocking down Tibbs' door like that, man. We could have gave him a 3 or 4 year deal.
Of course.
And be hey, take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
2 years.
Because his name, matter of fact, they were talking about Tibbs not coaching no more until Leon went and grabbed it.
Okay.
So hey, that was a very good.
Well, they
question,
must have
man.
thought
Very
that he
good
was going to rebuild the whole franchise in 5 years. So I mean,
well, let's be fair for this because I was once a Tibbs apologist, but I will say this: the front office and the organization as a whole throughout the years has done the same rinse and recycle thing because there's no real accountability, and also because like spilled milk, they keep trying, or I guess they keep trying to spray cologne on doo-doo and call it smell fresh or whatnot.
Wow.
One of the major problems with this organization from top down is that they try to act like they're the smartest people in the room instead of just admitting fault. And that seems to be a problem not only just throughout society, but in sports as well. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to get it wrong. If you get it wrong, then you can get it right. But the problem is you get it wrong, but then you piss on the fans and you call it rain, or you try to do something else. They're like, no, we didn't mess up. Bringing Kemba Walker made all the sense. Now, mind you, this is all 2020 hindsight. Hindsight 2020. So, as fans, our reaction is completely predicated on, oh, well, now it's bad, so we're all turned up and whatnot. But at the end of the day, at the core value of this entire thing, if people show you who they are, believe them. Tom Thibodeau is one of the most winningest coaches in the NBA. However, if you look at the stints and the demonstrative evidence of everything he's done prior, you can't change the stripes on the zebra. You can't change the spots on the leopard. Like, he is who he is. And if you find a way to sort of, I guess, mentally go, okay, he is who he is, at some point, you got to stop pointing blame at Tibbs because he's doing what he's always done. So I'm now going to shift the blame a little bit more to the people that are above, that employed this guy that you knew was, this is who he is. I'm now looking at the front office like, so what's up? Like, you knew who he was. Why are we complaining about him being who he is? And of course, he's the first one, first line of attack. But again, I'm looking at Leon Rose, who's never done the job, by the way. I'm looking at Brock Aller. Brock Aller's a capologist. Like, he's all about cutting money wherever he possibly can.
He's supposed to be a money man and save your money. He's
a money man. So I'm not expecting him to be, I'm not expecting him to be the guy for the drafting and all this. I think my main point is just, like Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. And if the Knicks bought into that concept, we wouldn't really be where we're at. Because we keep talking again about, oh, we shouldn't have drafted this, we shouldn't have done this, that's all hindsight 2020. I don't care about the whole, you know why I personally don't care about the whole Halliburton thing? Because you got a guy who was projected a top 10 by professional scouts, by pundits, by analysts. Like, Obi Toppin is a top 10 draft prospect. So you need to use him like a top 10 draft prospect.
Well, we can't use that all the time because they've gotten that wrong a lot of times throughout the years.
So it's not a blanket. You're right on that point. However, are there a group of max people saying that Obi Toppin is a second round talent?
No, he's not no second round talent. No.
No, because there have
No.
been busts throughout history. I'm just simply saying, like, if Tom Thibodeau is who he is, you need to buy into who he is and get him the pieces of who he is. Don't sit here and try to, undercut him and be like, oh, we think this is going to work because we think this. It's like, bro, Tom Thibodeau is telling you this is who he is. So let him die on this stake. Like, let him. He wants to try to play
and Ray,
let him go out his way. Right.
Yeah, and the reason I brought up the question, guys, is because I wanted to ask Freezie the question. Is because your reputation. Your reputation is who you are. It precedes you, and he had success in Chicago. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But there is no. I mean, it's clear as day. The Bulls let him go. He had success in Minnesota. What happened? Minnesota let him go. So I'm not. Don't get me wrong, Freezie. I'm not ragging on him. I know he brought the Bulls up. I know he did. But that's not to say that he didn't have faults. That's not to say he didn't have faults. And what I was bringing up was the case of the matter. Sometimes in a crisis situation, you need to take responsibility of what's going on at that present time. And he doesn't. And if it's going to the fact that it's causing problems on the team, then there's a problem in itself. And he does not address stuff that he does wrong properly. Instead, when it start going right, when it starts clearing up, he comes to the media and says, see, I told you guys I was going to get this right. When in turn, it really wasn't even him.
It fell in his lap. But you know what? I'm going to tell you, Marvin, to go back to what Rayology was saying, man. When last year at the end, after that 4th seed, and I'll always go back to that, for this front office putting them in this situation too, because they're culpable for this. When we made that 4th seed and you had all that money and you had picks, you know what you're supposed to do when you got a Tom Thibodeau coach as your coach?
Yep.
You go all out. You go all out because you was a 4th seed. You don't go to Kmart and go on that blue light special rack, on that clearance rack trying to find players. And that's exactly what, and that's why to D's point, if we're going to hold Tom accountable, you got to hold that front office because that was a calculated, a major mistake. We got guys sitting on the bench collecting checks, they ain't playing.
And that's what I'm worried about. We
you know
can't
what I mean?
go. They can't have the narrative like earlier. We used to go like Lillard this, Lillard that. I understand his talent, but you got to build this foundation with the young guy. You have to build a foundation, or it's going to collapse. If you don't have a proper foundation, it's going to collapse. The house will collapse. Eventually, it will.
And there's no way the front office
take the house down.
So who's the foundation? So
there's
are you saying the young core?
No, you got to build this. But see, if I got to be patient as a nigga, you got to build this thing. You know, if I got to be patient, you're going to do that. We're gonna go out and just give up everything for one player again. We're going to do all that. We've been doing that. Has it worked? No, that hasn't worked. You got to build.
When you lay cement, you got to wait for the cement.
Well,
to cure.
D'Angelo, I gotta say this. The only reason why we do not commit to a rebuild is because of the philosophy that we are a big market team, okay, in New York, and we as a fan base have to hold some level of responsibility in all of this. Everybody in the panel, every Knicks fan that has existed, we all deserve a certain blame. Not all the blame, but a certain amount of the blame, because our thirstiness for a star and us, bringing the pitchforks, going, bring this guy,
the torches and pitchforks.
Making for people, the pitchforks and everything, like it has led more to because again, as I said before, for proper context, the NBA is an entertainment business first.
Yeah.
Before you get to the sports and the product on the floor, it's an entertainment business. So
you know that's why they don't have to show you draft results. That's why they don't have to show you. That's the reason why the NBA does not have to show you live lottery
draft results,
because they are an entertainment business and not a sports entity. And see, people confuse the two. It's just like in a WWE sense, but of course,
but in fairness, though, on this topic, in fairness,
I don't want to get. I'm sorry.
But yeah, just on this topic though, just 5 seconds.
Sure,
the draft does have an engagement with major CPA firms. The CPA firms have an obligation to the general public to what they're attesting to. They're attesting that what the NBA said happened. So while you don't have to see it, the fact that a CPA firm comes out and attests to it, you can, if anything went different in that draft, you could sue the heck out of that CPA firm. That firm's not putting their professional license on the line to not say that draft wasn't what the draft results were.
Thanks for that, GI. Thanks for that, man.
You know, I might be a CPA. I don't know. I might be. I don't know. I
can't see you.
Real close, huh?
I hear you, partner.
But the point that I was making earlier about the NBA being a business first and where the fans deserve some level of responsibility is the cries that we make as a large market to bring in stars. And what we do is end up bringing in washed-up stars, or stars who are beginning to decline, or stars.
Boy, you ain't never lied.
Or you got guys in the front office like Scott Layden, and I would never say his name again. You know, among so many other people who are not qualified to do that particular position. It's
put Leon in there too. Put Leon in there too.
Leon is in there too. Like, listen, let's not make this. Let's not get this twisted. Julius Randle had to be resigned. That was a business move. I don't care if you liked it or you didn't like it. I hated it, but you had to do it. You had to do it. It's part of the business, man. Like, if you look at optics and marketing and why? Because we're in New York. We're a big market. It had to be done. And now we're paying the price for, going all in, and this man's value is nowhere near what it was last year, and we possibly and potentially can't move off this. So while we complain about, we should have sold the stock when it was high, well, the stock made you X amount of dollars, it made you a crap ton of money, but at the end of the day, stocks do come down. And when you got guys like Leon Rose, who has never done the job, and he's relying on so many chefs in the office to sort of help him. Hey, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Hey, Leon, what do you think? You're doing the job. It's your job. Stop bringing in all these consultants. Stop bringing everybody to the table. What do you, Leon Rose, want and need to do? And if you didn't know what to do coming in, then you shouldn't have been hired in the first place, which then goes to James Dolan. Why are you hiring this guy, Leon Rose? Because he's got connections? Because it's nepotism? Oh, I knew this guy who knew this guy who knew this guy, so we could bring this player? Let me tell you something. No player wants to come to a losing organization. They just don't, especially one with no direction. And Leon Rose hasn't shown that he really has a direction put in play.
Okay. Ray about to put us down the Pepsi and Coca-Cola conversation. Right. He keeps his stuff up.
And I just want to say this. I got to get out of here, man. I want to thank everybody for coming through.
Hey, man, the great show, man.
Yeah, man. I'll holler at y'all later, man.
All right, man.